a big part of that. Is the Congress is much. Yeah.
It's quite a good.
Yeah.
You'd be like,
Yeah.
anywhere on you.
Well, I have big bills.
Name bandings.
Beer
Because they're political.
Basically, we've got our.
So I miss the.
It's all works, so. Yeah, there's three things that are still out.
There is out there, they try to find me a place, so. I didn't know we wanted.
That's Gary's already.
Brainstorm what it is. Yeah. You don't. Yeah.
You know, put a lot of time in there, just walk.
Standing up there. Where you sitting?
Jackie, I'm.
Yeah.
All in the big ones, I guess.
Lights on.
Hey, look there.
Well, wow, look at that.
Made it. Good deal.
We're good.
Good deal.
Does he have the others?
There you can do it.
Does he have the others? Yes. Okay.
Oh, no, she just never really.
Oh, yeah. Yes. You got an after this.
Got one. Yeah.
Balance of beef.
It's good.
I just got done.
Yeah. That's 622. No, it's a good one. Even with my life, it was a 3.0. That's why I made you. And so I'm ready to have it. That's my God. And the 26, what's that? Is that 622? Yeah. Then we wait and see about.
Okay. How can you tell?
I got it with some.
Hi, how are you?
You.
Told you, I can hear every meeting.
Screaming out. First, but just saw.
Yeah, when I get ready.
I think you're set.
Tell me, well, I don't keep my mouth shut.
If
You don't be well enough, I keep my mouth shut.
every minute additional $100.
Is it just you or you and Kevin? Is he separate from you?
Yeah, well.
Sure, what I.
We can
invite her.
You guys get a new shirt every
No.
Everything over $100.
Does that work? If you work, I want
Just trying to, you know. Increase some revenue. Oh, geez. Yeah.
You like 4 or 5 grand.
That was box. Hold your mouth just right, it'll work. Down.
Try to get it. So this is all information, you know, right? It's not actionable.
This is, you're not gonna vote on it tonight, it's supposed to be in
How long is it gonna take?
Well.
They didn't.
Just tell me what to do. Bobblehead. Thank you. I appreciate it. I have to refer back to the list. Same.
See? I'll give you one when we get out of here. You deserve it.
I know, I'm gonna have to finish. Susan will be on Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
She set out for that.
There's some stuff to pass out in there from Ed.
I got it.
Okay, good, thank you. Good.
See the screen.
I did.
That was a link to the crowd. I don't know if these should be.
They told me I didn't have to do anything. I do not see for long.
She may be in another meeting early on. I don't know when she is. She's got a conference. Won't be pages. Are we live though? Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Call meeting to order. Say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The additions or changes to the agenda?
I think we're gonna move Teresa to the front.
Yeah, we're gonna move Teresa to the front. She's got another important meeting to get to with the RDC. So let's do our approval of minutes if we can. Teresa, please. It'll only take a minute. All right, take a motion to approve the minutes unless we have any discussion.
I'll make the motion to approve minutes.
Second.
Okay, you take the roll.
Darren,
Yes.
Judy? Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Joel,
Yes.
Jim.
Yes. Okay, minutes approved. Okay, Miss Teresa, you can go.
I gave you all 2 packets this evening. One of them is just a courtesy. The commissioners and I worked on our budgets and we did move money around in our funds and our appropriate to ourselves. So we presented that to Julie's office for moving. And after we did that, you'll see this packet here. This is what I wanted to give you the information for on additional appropriations, and there's one transfer in there from an account line to an account line. This is our last quarter of the year spending that we would need additionals for. So I put all the explanations on this front page as to what all of those are. If you have any questions, please let me know, or the commissioners know. And hopefully at your November meeting, we can work on you guys approving it.
It's just information, correct?
Yes, request.
Stage.
Yes,
For November.
yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Okay,
All right, thank you.
that's it. Thank you. Okay, next item is budget ordinances. Got 3 of them here. Had hearing in each of these. Got this is the second vote. First one is. You want to say something?
I do want to say something.
Go ahead.
I just want to make you aware that you're going to be about $250,000 over levy. And there's a lot of things in there that I don't think half of you even know about. So I don't know how far you want to go with this tonight. If you want to approve it, that's great. I balanced it, it's perfect. But
If you, what you said about if you balance it, it's perfect. What do you mean?
I balanced everything to Gateway. Everything's balanced, all matches.
And we're $250,000 over them.
Yes.
For the general fund? The fund.
Over levy, just over
You're
levy,
just over levy.
So
all funds? I didn't bring my papers up here.
all levy driven funds, which would be general, reassessment, health, and Hume Bridge.
Yes. But you're also gonna be, you're supposed to do 15%, leave 15% in the health budget for the next year, and it's not got 15% left in it. So there's not enough in the health budget.
You reconcile with Reed?
Oh, yeah.
So.
Don't get me started there. We won't go there right now. It's gonna take me all night. But yes, I did.
When you say you reconcile,
We're fine.
they're fine?
No, we're fine. Me and Reedy, and
You and Reedy are fine on this?
we match, everything matches, yes.
Okay. Any questions, thoughts?
Well, I don't know why we're sitting here at the very last minute just now.
here we are. At the last minute. Question is, it's close, so to me, we might as well just go ahead and approve it and submit it to DLGF. See what they come back with on 1782, and we'll just have to figure out where we are. It's just, that's all we can do. Right. Any other thoughts?
Making you aware.
Jen?
Would you say again what you said? Is that, it sounded like there was some kind of risk here, and I want to make sure we're clear on what exactly that is.
I don't think there's a risk, so to speak, but I just know we're gonna be over levied by about $250,000. I don't know if you want to be that far over levy.
Do you want me to help explain?
Yeah, I was just,
Yeah,
I was
please.
just about to ask you.
Yeah,
Thanks, Jackie, for being here.
yeah,
Well, I'm here for Phil.
Right.
But I've helped Julia through the process too.
Charge
And-
Bill for this stuff.
In the totality of the budget, we are, actually, it's 360,000 levy. Is what you're proposing to adopt.
360?
360 over levy is what you're proposing to adopt. That can be done, like Jim said, and it'll come out of the cash operating balance that you were anticipating in your general fund. The concern that I brought to Julia's attention as I was helping her review today is the health fund. The cash operating balance in the health fund, the way it's proposed to be adopted, is under the 15% financially stable amount that most financial advisors would like to see, 15% of your budget.
Not really sure.
And it's about $11,000 shy of that. So that one can't be fixed. That one is where it is. If you adopt the levy the way it is today, then they will stay underneath that threshold. They can't adopt more of a levy than what you adopt, or they can't calculate more of a levy than what you adopt. So those are the two items that Julia and I talked about today that she's bringing to your attention.
What are the implications if we proceed, or is there an option to?
There is,
Wait,
you have an
wait,
option to not recess your meeting tonight, or to not end your meeting tonight, to only recess and come back on a specific date and time that you can review and decide. The cash operating isn't really the biggest thing because it'll just come down. That's what they would do with it. It's just a lot to be over levy. The concern is that 15% in the health fund. If revenues don't come in, then we're talking about the beginning of 27. That fund could have difficulties funding the needs the first few months of the year because they don't get their major money until June in settlement. So that's one of the concerns.
Are you referring to the health department, 1159, 1160?
1159,
Yeah, you're referring to.
1160 is into levy fund.
Right, yeah, right. No, it's 1159.
Right, and you guys, you were
Got
adopting all of
it.
it.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, just the levy fund.
thank you, Jackie. 11,000 under in that health fund. Is this the one? I'm trying to put that into historical context, because weren't we writing serious red ink in that same one? 11,000?
No,
Is that not
no,
the one?
it's never
The
been.
4,700 fund.
The 40, okay, yeah, okay.
This is not the same.
So,
We've always adopted with a cash operating balance where it needed to be. And obviously, what can be done is you could, if you recess this meeting and come back, you can move 20,000 from the general fund over there in the levy before you adopt. And then if you choose, reduce that general fund, or you can leave it where it is and the DLGF will just reduce it and tell you they've reduced it because it won't fund.
Right.
They reduce the levy.
What are the implications, one side or the other, if we do recess or don't recess? How does that
Well, if you,
hurt our
you
health?
have, You either have to adopt tonight or you have to recess.
I understand. What are the implications if we adopt tonight? Does it hurt us somewhere?
It could possibly hurt you in that health fund if the revenues and levies are not there, that first quarter, at least the first quarter of the year could be, or the second quarter probably, could be in trouble funding itself, and you'd have to do an interlocal loan so that the health fund had enough money to operate.
Because their money comes in from the property taxes and all those
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah.
So if they're without money, then how do they get funded?
So it's $11,000
Right.
below 15%.
The only thing they get the first 6 months is fees. That's all they'll get.
Mhm.
So the first quarter, they probably are gonna be okay. It's that second quarter, they could very well be in trouble if you adopt below that. Judy's correct.
So I suggest that we recess
At the end of the day,
at the end of the day because we don't want to cause them issues.
And then this,
The health department. That's the
Okay.
fund we're talking about.
okay, sir, thank you. We're not talking about
The health trust fund.
Yeah, we're not talking about the fund.
health department budget. Nobody from the health department is here.
well, their budget isn't being impacted. Their budget is okay. It's that cash balance that
Yeah.
they use to operate their budget. That it's where the impact could be.
So if we recess, we still have to resolve it by November 1st, correct?
Yes, you'd have to say I recess until a certain date and time that's in the minutes, and then you could come back on that day and time and pass your budget. Let Reedy look at it, have Julia make sure she's in balance. I mean, numbers were changing at 2:00 today, so
And you would recommend it be more appropriate to recess?
I'm not gonna recommend either to you because they're your financial advisors. I just suggested to Julia, she bring it to your attention.
Jackie, I'm trying to, and maybe I missed it, but why are we just learning about this now?
Well, for one thing, we didn't get figures done until, Julia and I were on the phone today and figures were changing in Gateway. So, why, I don't know, because it's not my responsibility really to bring it to you. I brought it to Julia because that's who I contract with.
And actually, I have to thank her because she's been on the phone with me all weekend because I've been in here all weekend doing this.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thanks, Jackie.
What was the driver in changing the numbers?
Pardon?
What was the driver in changing the numbers? Was it numbers we were getting from the state or numbers from our?
Let's just, the driver for changing the numbers is the numbers were not put into Gateway correctly
By us or by the state?
by Reedy.
Okay.
So we had to fix that.
So
And that adds up to $360,000 difference.
Let's do this so we don't have to spend here forever. Let's do the recess thing. I'll reach out to Reedy tomorrow. And then get to the bottom of why we are where we are right now. Okay?
You think we'll be able to reconvene that and from recess this week, or are we gonna need until next?
Friday be fine because I have to go to,
Yeah, I don't know if I can get it done by this Friday because that's throwing me under the bus and I have, I've got a compliance meeting in my office on Friday at 10. So it's, it's Monday night, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I would prefer that we throw this out a couple of weeks.
We don't have a couple weeks.
Huh?
November 1's the deadline.
We got a week and a half.
Well, then let's pass the damn thing now and then we'll just have to deal with it
Can
afterwards.
we do it before November 1?
Look, if you guys, do what you want. 6 of you can make a decision. I'm not gonna make decisions under the gun here and get backed up in the corner. All right, do it, so.
No, if we did it on the 30th, you've got a week and a half.
You're backing yourself. Look, this was, I got an email last night from the auditor. I think it was 8:00. I have to pull it. I got the email. I didn't know anything about this until, late last night. So I don't know why we have been talking about months on months of what we wanted to do and, the process of getting this budget completed, but, here we are for whatever reason. So, I mean, you'll do what you want, so.
Well, I'm not,
I'm not in favor of passing it tonight because
That's
we
fine.
could always have a special meeting. We could recess, we could reconsider it and then say, all right, we'll pass it as is, wait for the 1780. Let me finish. We can do that at a different date. That doesn't have to be today, but if we vote to pass it today, then we passed.
Okay.
We
You're
can't,
on the finance committee and so is Gary Hewitt. So if the two of you want to take charge and get to the bottom of it, three, be my guest. Okay?
So you won't have time in a week and a
No,
half.
I'm not gonna be thrown, I've got too much stuff on my schedule as it is, all right? So, and I just.
How can you do that with Julie and Rita?
So, yeah, you get a hold of Jerry Hickson and get to the bottom of it.
So you could do an interlocal loan if they do run out of cash to give
You mean if
them,
we approve it tonight,
yes.
interlocal loan, there's implications of that.
It's they pay it back once they get their money in,
so it's paperwork,
pretty much.
yeah. Shifting money from one pocket to the other and
Right.
saying, okay, we'll take it out of that pocket when they put it back in.
So we would just tonight take out an interlocal loan if it comes to it. Is that what you're saying?
If it comes to the point where they have no cash operating
Okay.
balance
Yeah,
left, then.
yeah,
So that will solve the issue.
That's a big shock issue.
If we approve this though, and we're off by $360,000, what kind of ding are we gonna get?
You won't, they'll just reduce it.
But first of all, we're talking about the 1159, you're talking about the 1,000. We don't have a breakdown of the total. But also keep in mind too, that the other thing, Julie, you and I have not done, we agreed that we were gonna get this done by our regular meeting in November. Well, we've got another probably $250,000 to $300,000, somewhat in that range, in additional appropriations that need to come out of the general fund, right? And of course, what we're talking about here is 26, we're not talking about 25. So we have two completely separate different issues. So right now, I think it would be in our best interest to go ahead and pass the budget tonight. We can do this inter-office loan, whatever you call it, it's a formality, right? Just basically a paper formality.
Yes,
Right, so we can do that, and that then gives us some time to dig into why we found ourselves in the situation we're in right now with 26. Because the other thing coming right up is that we've got the 2025, that in our November meeting, that we're gonna have to make sure that we're gonna do some additional appropriations to make sure we're in the black on 12/31 of 2025. And I don't know what that total cost is going to be. It's gonna be probably, I'm gonna guess 300 to 400 grand, might be high. Hopefully I'm high.
I think you're gonna be in black.
Am I a little high? That's good. Okay, that's good. So, that additional appropriation in 2025 obviously is gonna affect the 2026 year end cash reserve balances. Right, so,
We've allowed it in the budget.
pardon me?
We've allowed it in the budget adoption.
Yeah, okay, so, to me, that's the reason I'm gonna kind of an advocate of, let's go ahead and just, we're here. Let's pass the budget so Julie can get the dang thing submitted to the DLGF. We don't have to worry about the November 1st. And then later we can go back and do the patch to patch the thing and, and just continue to move forward. If not, if you guys go the other direction, I don't want any part of it. I'm not going to spend any time and energy on this issue because I just don't have it. And if you guys want to take it, then, there's 6 of you guys do what you want, but I'm just voicing my opinion on this specific situation.
Sound reasonable doing it interlocal if we approve it tonight?
Are we for sure going to be lowered by 360?
They'll take it out of your cash operating balance. That
So
you're
we're gonna
adopting.
be approved for that budget, and that's gonna come out of our cash operating budget.
Right.
Which is gonna
Right.
reduce our
Right.
carry forward.
Diane, you want to say something?
Just a quick question. Why is Reedy in our gateway data entering anything?
He's our municipal advisor. Okay, and the challenge with this is that you have, Reedy goes in and they pull the data out of Lao. And then they populate their reporting system. And then we, the council, have to go through all the line items, as you know, we gotta go through all the departments, right? and make our adjustments to that budget. Literally, what we're trying to do is balance the budget, hang on, and build our cash reserves.
Julie was the one that found.
But the question is that it goes to, you ask the question, I'm giving you the answer. It goes from, the data comes out of the LAO, it goes to Reedy manipulation, then it's got to come back to Julie. Julie's got to go in and I believe manually key things back in to the LAO system, make sure, and then you've got the upload, and it's the F4, it's the Form 4 that has to be filed with Gateway, on Gateway, correct, Julie? Right, and we discussed this, the council, because this is the council's oversight. Okay, the council and the auditor agreed that we would go ahead and have Reedy upload that data in Gateway.
Just questioning why it was not done right.
Because the challenge with it is if anybody makes any errors, then it creates problems. Because you're dealing with data,
$360,000.
well, you're dealing with data entry. So if somebody keys something the wrong way, then that's what creates problems. And then it takes hours and hours and hours to try to go back through and reconcile to find out where the mistakes are.
I can attest to that. I'm just questioning. I know Julie was here all weekend working, doing that.
Jackie?
I was just gonna tell Daryl that, or Darren, that the cash operating that you're proposing is 2,000,009. So if you took that 300,000 out of it, it dropped down to 2,000,006. County General would still have a cash operating.
Right, but what I'm saying is if they're not going to,
They will not lower your budget, no.
right, so we're actually gonna be spending $360,000 more than we wanted to. So all of our efforts to cut the spending have been thrown away by
Not
$360,000.
necessarily. I mean, not necessarily. It's just the cash operating isn't where you originally intended it to be, I guess, because
Right, but that 360,000 is going to be,
reduced from there, yes.
yeah. So we are appropriating that extra $360,000 of our cash operating.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't approve this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we basically need to cut 360,000 out of the budget.
So you, apart from the interlocal, you want to address 316, stick cut it out of the budget. That's what you're.
I don't know how to do that. I really don't.
Pardon? You don't know how we're gonna do that?
I sure don't. I mean, it's worth trying, I don't know.
Can we just run through what the changes were so we know what's happening with the budget we're about to pass? Just tell us what changed from the last budget the council saw. So you said, I think I heard you say, we don't know what's in it. So I want to know what in it, what has changed, and I think council needs to know too, before we vote on it.
You want me to go get the paperwork today? You could be here a while.
Well, I mean,
I would
I don't know
suggest
what it
doing
is.
whatever you gotta do right now. And then I'll go get it at the end of the meeting and we can go over it then so that some of these people don't sit there here all day.
So it's a multitude of
Oh,
line
yeah.
items. It's not like 2 line items or
No.
5 line items. It's
No.
like 20
No.
line items.
No.
It's more than 20.
Okay, I'm going to get it.
Well, let's, Julie,
And I mean, the other question is, has anyone reviewed it? I mean, the human error is super easy. If you're the only one that's done this and no one else has looked at it,
Scott, please don't go there right now.
well,
I've been here all
Here.
weekend.
I
I've been here
know.
staying till 6 at night.
I get it.
he's got a point still. I mean, it's reality. So it would be wiser if you're gonna do this, if we're gonna do that, we
Question it
need.
now. If you were gonna question it before, you should have come in and helped. I mean, that would have been really better, right?
Yes, I didn't know there was an issue.
I'm sorry. I thought I told you there was an
Okay.
issue the other day.
If we wanna put
Sure,
that
I
till the
did.
end and deal with everything else, so everybody doesn't have to sit for that, do that. Is that something you wanna do? Council?
Mhm.
Okay, let's do that. You can go get that paperwork whenever you need to, and we'll go on that in the end. In the meantime, we'll
There's 2 other budgets that you can't approve.
correct. We've got the solid waste budget. Bill,
I'll take comfort in the fact I'm not $250,000 levy, okay? However, I am about 7,000 over levy, but we have plenty of cash balance to easily absorb that. 26,
how much over in levy?
actually 7,200. Okay, but again, we've got, some pretty healthy half pounds to absorb that. We still got a fair amount of money in savings, a little over 6 figures, which I'd like to keep aside, of course, for catastrophic repairs for the equipment, the aging equipment we've got. I kept all the salaries the same as last year for the 25. So that stays the same. There's a little extra built into that in case we need to add 1 or 2 more part-time people. One good thing is we have been getting slammed a lot of the recycle center even more. Okay, the front line out front, we can barely keep it empty during the day. So I mean, that's a good thing. We've had to add an extra recycling container out to Deer Run. Because that's become our busiest spot now. And that new container costs us $8,000. But again, I mean, that's a good thing. That shows the county's recycling and it shows we can handle it.
Can I just get a bird barrel?
Huh? Jim, you know that's next.
Well, actually, I thought the burn barrel was within open burn.
That's organic ingredients, yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, thank you.
But no tires. And the tires, we took in 26 tons of tires. That's right. Yeah, 2.5 semi-loads.
From who?
Brown County's notorious for tires, believe me. We do more every year than all the surrounding counties put together.
Would have dumped all the tires in our county?
Most of the people, a lot of people I knew.
That's what ravines are for.
Is it related to road?
We know that. believe
You
me.
know that.
It's all pretty.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it's a solid budget. It'll get us through. Commodity prices have not really gone up at all in the past 12 months. Cardboard, which was really our bread and butter, that has stabilized around 85 a ton. But it was around 170.85 a ton for a year. And that's how we were able to sock away a lot of money. I did. What else have we done? We've stopped commercial business cardboard pickup. The reason being our box truck, we're facing a catastrophic repair on that. A major transmission issue. So we have dropped that program. We're finding a lot of those businesses are bringing it to us. And we just got a huge shipment of cardboard and glass from Partners Groove. So they're bringing it to us. And 2 weeks ago, Bartholomew County, they had a business pickup program and they dropped theirs too. So not as many districts are really actually going around picking up recycled material anymore. We have left Mother's Covered on the list because it's right next door and it is a charity. So we've still got that, and they've got a fair amount. But again, it's a solid budget. We've always stayed within our line items. We've always been pretty solid on that. A grant paid for the tires. So we'll be getting money back from Biden for about $7,000. I'll probably be coming back to an appropriation on
Any possibility of a grant to fix the box truck?
for repairs like that. No, so that's a tough one.
Replace?
It's gonna be well into 5 figures. I'd rather just, in fact, the truck's on gun deals right now. And we'll be lucky to get 2,000 or 3,000 for it.
Any questions otherwise?
Just want to point out, I think you mentioned this, but you're keeping no pay increases is what you've included
You're
here.
not replacing me.
Yeah, that's quite a,
My players, you're aware of that. They're aware of that.
Anything else? Take a motion to approve the Brown County Solid Waste Management budget. This is the ordinance or resolution for appropriations and tax rates. Ordinance resolution number 2025-10-20-001. Solid waste. You say you made a motion?
second.
Made and seconded.
Who made it? Patrick?
Aaron,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Joel,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then back to the people.
It's back.
There are two sheets with that.
Just one. Oh, yeah, there's a couple here. Did we miss something?
I'm just trying to think. There's a.
Wait, sorry, this maybe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
I mean,
Oh, the other one. Yeah, we'll start. Actually, start that. It's gonna hopefully, but I really want to see the rest of it, but it's solid waste.
It's not.
Still context. All right, next item is the ordinance resolution for appropriation of tax rates for the Hamlin Township Fire Protection District. This is ordinance resolution number 2025-10-20-002. And, we had a hearing on that. We've also did it last month. Take a motion. Approve. Maybe.
I'll make the motion to approve one township. I did.
Second.
Aaron,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Joel,
Yes.
Kim.
Yes. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the salary ordinance amendment. And it's amending the salary ordinance. Payroll line in the auditor's office will be changed to compensation employee benefit manager with a pay grade of 14 with a salary of $44,931. The pay will be retroactive back to August 4th, 2025. Your payments of the DOC, Department of Corrections, shall be a payment for law enforcement stipends retroactive back to June 2024. This is the amendment. Questions, discussion?
Pass that that way.
Could you notice if we received from the DOC?
well, we actually got most of it in now.
How much is it?
So,
$6?
oh, no.
40,000.
Yeah, I think it's 261 or something. We had 65 and then they just sent us the rest of it.
We should be in black with that.
No, we were in the black, we're in the black now because they only caught up to where they owed us over. And then we're right back where we were going back to second.
On the, auditor's office, look at what was suggested. And did we look at what was suggested? And does that match that? payroll
What's
amount?
suggested 48,000.
That was my question. I just wanted to know what they had suggested.
Well, that was
whether we
that
looked
was
at
their
it.
external midpoint. Their low external salary was 43,565.
Are you going to the compensation benefits person? Is that there?
Employee benefit manager.
And their
It's pretty
cost to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
They had 48 was the external midpoint, having not going there. That's the point.
Yeah, we're not going to this one.
And they're still on the phone for you.
14.
All this stuff. It's fully work.
49, so almost 45.
Just external session rate, 43.
Just too damn late.
It's 43.
No, that's not. That sounds low. That's the highest, what, 48 for
Midpoint.
midpoint?
Yeah, the external
We
midpoint.
voted on what we should do with anybody, yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's in the subdivision.
Well, no, because we said all along, we were not going to,
Thank you.
we said all along, Gary, that we were gonna compare it with what WIS was going to do. So it's not a separate issue. That's why we've not made any decision on it, that we were gonna do what WIS said that we were going to do. So it's not a separate issue. And he just brought up that what they asked for was a the higher midpoint, and we haven't made a decision what we're even going to do yet. For the current employees,
If we went with the external midpoint, that's where we have
You're
the
going to the
$837,000.
how much is that again?
$837,000.
That's for everybody, right?
But we,
Yeah,
but,
higher.
but we haven't decided what we're going to be doing yet for the employees, what area, how much we're going to give, whether they're gonna be at the low end or in the middle point.
Yeah, we pretty much come to a consensus that we were gonna do, half. We were gonna aim for about 300 to 400,000 overall instead of the 830. The 837.
Yep.
Because we can't do the 837. We're gonna have a hard time doing 400. So we're gonna aim for some proportion of it. And if we take this position up to a 14, we have no wiggle room, and this is going above everybody else to the point where it's gonna plateau and not go up for next few years because it's above what everybody else can get.
Right, and that's just not fair and equitable.
Diane?
I had sent a letter back in June and Judy read it and I got positive feedback from everybody that I made valid points. You want to hire somebody, or she's already hired, I'm not saying she's not qualified because I'm sure she is. But you want to hire her at a pay grade 14. I've been here for 20 years at a pay grade 9. Okay, the only thing that's putting me maybe above her is my longevity, which from what I understand is going to go away possibly. I mean, this is a little ridiculous that you want to put these new people in that maybe they have experience in another job. I have a specialty job. I have to have a continuing education for my job. I cannot even data enter anything in my office without that continuing education. It's the only job in the county that's required that. And yet you're going to pay somebody a 14 and I will be a 9. And I've worked in 2 offices. I have another deputy in the office that's a pay grade 8. Don't you think that's a little bit of an insult to your current employees? Every first deputy, poor Sandy is a 9. You're going to hire somebody in that office higher than what she is? I mean, there's something wrong with your thinking on this.
Is this a new position, Julie? Meaning newly defined job description?
It's definitely a new job description because she's not only doing payroll, she's doing HR.
But she's not doing total HR. She's
doing quite a bit of it. You'd be
she's doing
surprised.
uploading benefits and those kinds of things. She's not doing mitigation. She's not doing those kinds of things, or she
Tell
should
her
not
that.
be. Well, she should not be.
She is doing it.
And it's always been done by the payroll person and they weren't at a pay grade 14 for years.
And if we do this, then we're going to goof up everything that we just did.
It's up to you. If you want her to stay here and work, then you're going to give her more money. If you don't, then you won't.
I'm not saying
It's
it's not
that
gonna give
simple,
her more
because
money, but I think we have. to
I've
do
been
it.
through 6 of them already. This one's actually qualified for both jobs she's doing.
We just paid us to do a job for us.
I agree.
And and it should include, and it does, a bump for you, which is great. But we need to do it within the guidelines. We don't give one the midpoint and everybody else the lower point. We have to make a decision on what we're going to do. Fair and equitable.
Can I intervene here?
Please.
Judy's okay?
Go ahead.
Are you,
I
okay,
said my piece.
okay.
I can be outvoted.
First of all, Diane, the pay system in this county is a joke.
And I agree.
Okay. I mean, you get 35 pay grades. Essentially, what's happened over the years is they've used stipends with absolutely no policy in place
I
on
agree.
how to issue stipends. Do the stipends expire? How do we do it? It's just been a hodgepodge, and the stipends have been used to fill in the gap.
And I understand that.
Okay. Number two, we just spent 50 grand with WIS to come in and do this compensation study. I have submitted all of that information off to Reedy. Judy, myself, and Patrick Nylander. We've got a deadline of December the 4th, which is the first Thursday in December for a special session meeting, which will be a public meeting. And what we have to do is we've got to work with Reedy to understand, you know, I believe we were gonna pass an ordinance tonight adopting this new compensation plan. Is that true or no? Do you have an ordinance from Susan Beavers? Because Kent Wagner gave Susan an ordinance at the last special session meeting. So do you have an ordinance in
Send
your?
it to me.
Huh?
She did not send one to me.
Okay, so we're not gonna touch that ordinance tonight. Okay, all right, we'll leave that off the table.
Because I don't feel you should be voting on.
Well, this is, I appreciate your input, but there's 7 of us we are the elected board. We have the statutory, you know, responsibility over the appropriation of
I
the money.
understand that.
All right. And I'm trying to explain to you, but you know, the challenge that we have is that what we have to do is we're gonna have to do our work, and there's an enormous amount of time and energy that's to be put into this, because we've got to understand how we're going to pay for it. Okay? And if we can get, how much is it gonna cost us to implement this new compensation plan? Number one, and number two, how much is it gonna cost us, and I think you repeat myself, how much is it gonna cost us to implement it, depending on what approach we take? And then the other question is when do we implement it? So as far as this that's on the table right now, Judy, you know, this is in 2025. We've held every employee at 2025 pay grades with no cost of living adjustment for 2025 and 2026. That's what's in the budget. We have not adopted this new compensation approach at all. So I think our decision tonight needs to be made on the 2025 pay scale, whether that be where's this person at right now, pay grade?
No, she's an 8.
She's pay grade 8. So, you know, we need to make a decision at what pay grade, or the board does, what pay grade, based off the current pay grade that's in place. And we don't need to be making any decisions as to this new compensation approach, because it's not in place yet.
That I don't disagree with,
Okay.
because then it is in the 36. I'm sorry, it's a pay grade 8, it's 36,000 and something. I don't think we need to be taking them up to a pay grade 14, because all along,
So it's a pay grade 14. Do you have it right there?
Yeah, it's,
Scott, what's the delta between a pay grade 8 and a pay, you can give me the numbers, I've got a
Is that
calculator.
25 pay grades?
there's 25 base pay listed here. Is that?
Yeah, just give me, what's the base pay for a pay grade 8?
8 base pay is 37,089.
089, and then what is a pay grade 14?
14 is 44,
44,
930.
930. So that is a that's a $7,841 a year increase in wage.
but
And if I divide that by 2,080 hours, it's basically $3.70 an hour, 77 cents an hour increase to take her from a pay grade 8 to a pay grade 14.
but does that take us up to the midpoint? And so,
Okay, let's not,
The midpoint's 48.
no,
I'm
Yeah,
still
external-
upset about the fact that you're going to make an employee of work.
you have sent me hundreds of emails, you've made your point, and I'm done. We don't need to.
Speak in a meeting also, and I'm
Mr.
saying,
President,
I am upset that you're trying to pay somebody pay grade 14 when your first deputies are a 9, and we have to take over for an elected official in their absence. I don't know how much more we can drive that through to you. So you're gonna pay, so what do I just do? Mary's not here? Okay, no decisions can be made. No, I have to make those decisions for her. It's part of my job. but yet you're not paying me for that responsibility when an elected official is a 16. I'm a 9. You're gonna pay a payroll person that's doing HR a 14. That is an insult to your employees and the first deputies that work here. Sandy is not making that much money. That is an insult to her. She has to work in that same office.
We understand that, and as Jim said, our salary approach is rather primitive. We are on the verge of incorporating a new one, which we hope to rectify a lot of these issues that you brought up. It's not there yet.
Next year.
We're gonna have our meeting on December
I'm
4th.
hoping for next year.
Yeah, we're hoping for next
So
year.
then why are you trying to change this pay grade now when you're going to hopefully do this?
Because she's been through 6 people and it's important, the position is important to try and get things done.
There is not about 80 employees that work for this county. Your position and everyone else's position, you can't compare your position to this new position, this new job responsibility. This individual is responsible for all compensation for all 180 employees. They are responsible for all of the employee benefits. All right, so we level of attention and a level of detail. And furthermore, we as a county and you as an employee, we cannot afford to have continuous revolving door with this position because that affects all of the employees. Matter of fact, we can't implement this system, this new system that we paid 50 grand for, because this new system has to be implemented by this person that is the compensation and employee benefits manager. All right, that job definition has changed. There's an enormous amount of responsibility and that needs to be competitive pay. If you're unhappy with a pay grade 9, then I would highly recommend that you're looking for other open positions within the county that you can get a higher pay grade. You made the conscious decision. You have worked for the county. You told me for 15 years,
20.
20 years. So you have made a
And I
conscious
just had a
You
problem.
have
with
made
anybody paying
you
me
have
for
made a
my
conscious
employees.
decision. Did you not make a conscious decision to work for the county for 20 years?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
At a pay grade that I thought
And
was
you-
acceptable until.
And
the
for you
employees
to say
hired
that, for
at my
you to stand
pay
up
grade.
here and continue over and over and over again and send us emails.
Yes, obviously I
I
am.
appreciate you voicing your opinion. You have your right to make to your opinion, but you are in the situation because you made the decision to be in the situation you're in. So you've got to take a little bit of responsibility on your end instead of crying victim.
But
Okay, I'm a victim. I'm tired of the victim thing.
when I try to explain my job, and if you give me a moment, maybe I could do so
I
without
will.
you speaking over me.
This is reoccurring over and over and over and over again, because basically what you're saying is how dare you, this is a pay grade 8, how dare you pay her more money than me? Is what you're saying.
Well, you're saying my job is not detailed.
No, I'm not.
If I
No, I'm
don't
not.
do my job
No,
correctly,
no, I'm not.
your budgets are messed up
No, I'm
because
not.
our assessments are incorrect.
As I mentioned before, let me
So-
state something. We are on the verge of incorporating a new system. Each job is evaluated as its compensation or as it pertains.
So then why are we not waiting till that takes place? to do
Because we've
that?
gone through 6 people. This is a fundamental position that we need to function in this area. It's unfortunate. I agree, totally
You
unfortunate.
just stabbed all your employees in the back, so thank you so much. I
If that's
really
the way you
appreciate
wanna
all your
look at it, I'm
concern
sorry.
for everybody, because you're just being
All right,
idiots.
Thank you for your input. So, all right, so where did we left off? We were, what was it, $33.70 an hour? Delta between the 8 and 14. Is that what it was?
No, it was 78, you said 70, 17 something.
Yeah, that's annual, but I took that and divided it by 2080. I mean, you can look at it as an annual increase, you can look at it
External.
as a, the long, the short of the pay grade 14, Scott, is how much a year?
Darren's got it. Or
The low external.
No. Let's
No,
just,
Julie,
I asked you.
Julie asked me this.
Yeah.
The low external is 43,565. If we do a 12 at 41,082, that puts us under, it gives us the ability to step that position up when everything else steps up. If we go with a 14, we are potentially putting this position above what we would be going to.
okay, what is the 50% internal, the median internal wage?
The
If my memory serves me correct, we have basically two choices. Well, we got more choice to that, but
Yeah, internal base was 44,364.
so to true everything up, if you true everything up using their new classification,
But we're not gonna be able to true everything up exactly. We're gonna have to do some proportion of this.
you're, okay, wait a minute. See, I was of the mindset that, and because this is, we've not, we can talk about this at another time. I don't know that we need to discuss it here.
Right.
But just, I'll finish my thought. That we did this countywide, we don't pick and choose departments and classifications. If we're gonna implement it, we implement it countywide for everybody.
Right, but we're not gonna be able to necessarily do across the county at the external midpoint, or the internal mid. What we're gonna have to do, I think that's what the committee was looking at, is taking these numbers, the total of them, we have 870,
Yeah, but.
837,000.
Right.
So we're gonna have to come up with a number that we can do.
Yeah, get to it.
Find what percentage that is, 837, then I go through line by line.
Right, and probably WIS, is they only had 132 employees on there. They didn't have the 175, 180. We put
Some of them aren't covered by the,
Right, right. So that's a whole other story. Like, yes, to get refocused, because we need to make a decision on this, not, continue to kick the can down the road. If you go back to the pay grade 14, Scott, is how much a year?
43,621.
How much?
43,621.
What's that?
43,621.
25, look at 25.
Oh, 25, never mind. 24 is on there. Okay, never mind.
All right,
Yeah, 40. Cover that. 44,930.
Correct, that's what's on the table right now.
Yeah.
So 44,930 is the 2025 pay grade 14.
Yes.
What's the 12?
What is the pay grade for this position, the classification at that midpoint internal, the 50% internal?
That is the 44,364.
44,360.
Oh, it's different.
You're not looking at the right one. Because it was 48,000. I just looked at it.
No, that's the external.
That's the
bid.
extra.
That's
Oh,
the
okay.
highest.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That is the highest
So-
one that we were getting.
So what is a pay grade
That's the
13?
Midpoint's what it says.
45 pay grade.
43,623.
43, what?
623.
623. Yeah, so.
A 12 is 42,314.
Where and I'm just, being forthright with all of you, I believe the commissioner's administrative assistant is setting at a pay grade 14.
Is she?
I believe she is.
Teresa?
That position, the commissioner's administrative assistant is a pay grade 14.
The new one's a 12.
The new one, what?
Is a 12.
What a new one.
Their new assistant that.
That's the new.
I'm talking about
Yes.
the commissioner's administrative assistant
Yes.
is a pay grade 14, right? Because that is a managerial position in my mind. Okay?
She's 14.
And when I look at this compensation employee benefits position, that is a managerial position as well. Well, it is, because that individual is going to, first of all, they've got to deal with all 180 employees, so they got all the emails coming in, they've got to talk to every one of them. Any kind of changes that, take place, they've got to facilitate. Well, I know, but I'm walking through this.
Okay.
All right, because we've never walked through this. So that is a managerial position. And so what we're going to do is look at manager positions, not elected officials, not first deputies, but actually, managers that manage something, right? That's in my mind, that person is a pay grade 14 all day long. Because it is a managerial position with complete discretionary, enormous amount, it's a pretty breadth and depth of the learning, is a lot for that individual to learn. And the challenge with this is that if we continue to have turnover in that position, let's just say this. If we lose the existing person and we've got to go out and try to find another person, and while that's going on, does that mean we got to bring Reedy back in like we did for 2 months or whatever?
No.
We cannot,
That was very efficient.
we cannot, as a county, implement this new Wagner-Erwin Shealy compensation approach. FES, I think, is the acronym, isn't it?
Say something.
Yeah, but let me finish real quick. We can't implement that if we don't have a person in this position to implement it. I mean, there's just no way.
It will be pivotal. Yes.
You can't do it. How are you gonna do it?
And you have to have a competent person.
How are you gonna implement?
So of all the 6 people, has she been what, more competent than?
Kidding?
Or-
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's very knowledgeable.
Okay.
She's
All right.
actually going to get this, she's already done the classes for the SHRM and she will be taking the test.
Could I say
Yes.
something?
So
I am the first deputy of the auditor's office. I do not make a 14, and I am totally fine with her making a 14.
Thank you.
She deserves it. She has already,
No resentment.
no resentment whatsoever,
Yeah.
no resentment whatsoever. She deserves that with what she has already done. It is a lot of responsibility. And I have no qualms about her getting paid more than me, and I've been here 35 years.
Thank you very much.
Okay, anything else? The ordinance is asking for 14. It's not a appropriate solution, but we're stuck with the old salary ordinance for the moment. Take a motion.
I'll motion that we, accept the ordinance as written.
The amendment to the ordinance. Second. Made and seconded. I need an ordinance number. Scott has a question.
Did we just amend it? I guess, did you say, what was your motion?
Just accept it as a pay grade 14 as it does.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Get an ordinance number for us.
I'm working on that.
I would
2025,
easily,
and
conflicted on 14.
Okay. There.
the 10, 20-20-005, got
20 days, what?
20, okay, 2025-10-20-003. You have like 3 other ones up there. I think it's 1, 0, 1, 2.
0, 1, and 2, yeah.
Okay, so this will be 3.
Darren?
Can we,
What, Darren had, we made the motion, Darren has a suggestion, all of us, all of us comfortable with.
we got a second?
I already seconded.
Yeah, we have a second.
Okay. Gotcha.
Discussion, Darren mentioned 12.
Do 12. I can't do the jump right now before we implement it.
Let's take a vote and see what happens.
I agree.
Let's take a vote and see what
Because
happens.
I want to explain why I can't do a 14 right now.
Okay.
Because it's gonna put it above the target that we're aiming for. And I don't want to try to aim that high with, because I don't think we're, and I completely understand. I don't dispute I do not dispute the responsibility of that job at all. I understand the responsibility of that job. I just don't want to put us in a place where we are above the WIS target.
I understand that too.
I do too.
Because then there's she's gonna be sitting there
Yeah,
for
'cause
a
there's
period of years, possibly without a raise.
there's no bringing it back down. We've ratcheted it into a position where we cannot back it back down. So
That may be a reality she has to face, or that position has to face.
that's all I have to say.
We have a motion and a second. You say something, Scott?
Well, this is on the amended salary ordinance, and
Right.
it is, right? And then the second one, and Sheriff, I assume you're okay with this.
They're already doing those.
Well, I just want to say that, what we're approving here is that it says that the repayments of the Department of Corrections shall be payment for the law enforcement stipends retroactive back to June 2024.
Which is
Just
when they started doing.
making sure that is all adding up. I don't know why we even have to say that, because we've already,
We just want to make sure it's in the salary ordinance so that that if everyone's aware that they are getting stipends from the DOC,
so it's about the retroactive
right? It's
application.
not, they're already getting it. They've already been getting it.
It's what we voted on. That just puts it in the right.
Formalize it.
Yeah, we just formalize it.
Hannah, I mean, it's.
Yeah.
We haven't received DOC money for months and months and months and months on it. We finally got a chunk of cash in. We've been paying the stipends out of the general fund.
Mhm.
So this new stipend money that comes into its fund, DOC fund. That money needs to be moved back over and replenish the general fund, does it not?
The money's, no, the fund went into the red. So it just takes the fund out of the red.
Oh, so you've just been writing red ink and then.
Yes.
Gotcha, all right, all right.
Does
That's
that,
kind
does
of
that
like a
make it
grant
whole?
that's reimbursable.
Yeah, I got it. Okay.
Then you said make a whole.
She's talking about.
Is that what we got in? Does that make it whole?
It did make it whole, but it is, now
get
we're
back in.
back to.
It brought us back up.
Until we get more, yeah.
DLC is in arrears a lot.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank goodness for that.
Hopefully they're good for it.
Good job.
Okay, move back to motion made and seconded.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Darren,
I have to be a no because of the.
Judy,
Nope,
Scott,
No.
Gary,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Joel,
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, to the- to the- Silence. Motion approved. You sign it.
I think above me, yeah, you signed it.
Okay. Next item is the ARA owner occupied rehabilitation Oprah matching grant. This is a grant we looked at last quarter and we need to rectify some issues with that. It's also a grant, there's a matching fund that the county has to provide for, and the Community Foundation has graciously offered us a grant for about half of that for $27,500. And Whitney's going to share with us what we need to do to fulfill it.
Yes, so as you may have heard, the county was not selected for the last round of OOR. We got some feedback from Oprah and they said that they would like to see an increase in local match, which is why there's the 28,500 in front of you tonight. And the county, or the Community Foundation's generous donation of 27,500 for this program. So we're looking at an even 56,000. And I just want to let you know that the application round has opened now. So tonight I'll need a decision on whether or not you approve. And the application is due November 14th. I have gone through and texted everyone on the applicant wait list, letting them know that the county was not awarded and that we are looking to reapply.
And how much did the county contribute in the last round? Was it 28,000?
So last round you contributed the whole 55,000.
55, so the total was 55. So that was 27.5, so we're going up to 28.5.
25, yes.
Okay. So the 27.5 has already been positioned in our budget. Is that correct?
Gary, we approved 55K to pull it out of the riverboat because at the time that we passed the resolution on the 55K, we did not have a firm commitment from the foundation. Now we have a firm commitment from the foundation. So all we need to do is reconfirm the 28.5 this evening so you guys can move on and try to get this because we already made a commitment to do it.
Correct.
Would you take a motion?
Thank you, Jim. You're welcome.
Or motion?
Yes.
I move we approve the 28.5 to be allocated towards the OR grant as presented. Out of the riverboat fund, correct, Jim?
Right. Rowboat fund.
A second, anyone?
Second.
Got that, Sandy?
Mhm.
Roll call?
Darren,
Yes.
Judy,
yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Joel,
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
Great, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Okay, next item, Julian, Converse.
Yeah, we haven't been doing encumbrances at the end of the year. That was taken out with the last council that was there. I just wanted to know if you wanted to put it back into play for this coming.
I think
Can you
it's
define for me the definition of encumbrance?
The
It's
implication.
basically if there is a bill that is due at the end of the year,
You and I talked about.
Yes, if there's a bill that's at the end of the year that goes into the next year, they keep the money in there to pay that bill. That money rolls, so they can pay that bill.
So we haven't been doing that, you're saying?
We have not been doing that. no.
And it can wreak havoc on next year's
It
budget.
sure can.
And so what I'm used to and is that encumbrance. Well, first of all, it's very important that what can be encumbered is very clearly defined and carried forward. Secondly, that encumbrance does not last forever. I think
No.
it's 60 days or 30
Yes.
days. And if it's not.
Yeah, it's limited. You have a limited time.
So this is not a chance for anyone to say, hey, let's encumber this, that, and the other. No, it's, if it's under contract and we are obligated to pay it in writing, that is able to be encumbered. If it's not, then it's not able to be
I
encumbered,
don't think so.
is my understanding. And because what we don't want to do is just have, I mean, not that Mark at Parks and Rec would do this, but just encumber the rest of his budget. You know, oh, we'll just save that for something else we're going to decide to spend on later. I don't think that's what we're wanting to do here, right?
No,
Jackie, do you-
It's not
do you-
just for
Do you have anything to say to clarify this for us possibly?
In order to have an encumbrance, you must have a contract or a purchase order or an invoice dated by December 31st of the current year that didn't get paid in the current year. If there is enough money within the appropriation to carry that forward, then they can request that be encumbered and the council has to act on it. The thing that you might be careful with, you might give stipulations on what encumbrance you want. Spending down the budget at the end of the year is not a fiscal sound thing normally to do, but you must have something. You can't just say, I want to encumber my supplies
yeah,
over to next year. There has to be an invoice or a purchase order or a contract dated December 31st of the current year, and then it's requested in the next year to be encumbered.
Jackie, this is Jim. Is this a state board of accounts issue, or is this just a local county operational policy?
It's your policy.
So state board of accounts has nothing to do with this. This is just an operational,
They will,
internal policy as a county.
they have nothing to do with whether you do them or
Or you
whether you don't.
Okay,
They only have something to do with when they see an encumbrance, they may pull the invoice to make sure that it's a legitimate invoice.
got it. Okay, so what I would like and suggest that we do is this needs to be put on our to-do list.
policy.
And we need to, at a special session meeting, Gary, we must sit down. This is an opportunity to address some policy issues and think this through and write it up and make sure we follow it going forward.
I can tell you history, we stopped them when we weren't able to fund the budgets year to year and we were adopting budgets with $100,000 cash operating.
Correct.
When you continue to do those encumbrances, then that just totally, it just consistently eats away at things. And so that was the reason they were stopped probably, I'm gonna say 6 or 7 years ago. And said, we just gotta stop this. If you don't get it spent, use it out of the new budget. And if you need money at the end of the year, come see us, we'll give it to you. But until that, try to live within your means.
And that's the alternative. If we don't do an encumbrance, we just do an additional appropriation.
You would do an additional, if the funding is there.
Just
So
like,
if things have come in the way you wanted them to, that would be fine. But if they haven't, then you would say no to it and they would just have to live with next year.
like we did with Laura last year, when she had those things that she had to pay for at the end of the year, but she didn't have the money because it was rolling, it was gonna roll back in.
Well, one thing, and, you know, if this is our council policy, you know, typical timeline, Jackie, 30 days, 60 days to pay that.
Well, I've never known that there was a timeline on them. I know it can only be spent for that invoice. And so it can't be, if they don't pay that invoice within however many days you want to allow them to get submitted, then you can then reduce it back down and deny that encumbrance for lack of payment.
So two things I would suggest we do, because what we are not trying to do is hurry up and spend money before the end of the year here, nor allow anyone to do that. And so I would suggest the council kind of as a message to the department heads, help them understand these requests are going to be under high scrutiny by the council. And if they are not essential, they will be denied, because this isn't a rush to spend kind of thing. It's more of a, allowing contracts to continue without disruption. And then I would also put a, 60-day cap on these with the ability for an exception to be requested. Because we do not want a lingering 12-month appropriation
Just think
sitting
what
there.
happened with Laura was her bill hadn't come in yet.
Right. And those things,
And then- yeah.
we can handle those kind of things, but we
Right.
don't want this to just be put in reserve for a year.
Correct.
To be cut off like the 15th of January.
Yeah.
or something like that.
It's maybe 30 days. I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe 30 days. I think we should
Great.
say that in our
Good idea.
motion if we're gonna do something today. Not that we need to.
You don't have to
but-
do it today, but I was just, my question was, are you, is it a possibility that we're going to allow it at the end of the
Yeah,
year?
thank you. I think we should. Yeah.
Put it on our work session in November for a policy issue. Okay, Conference. Okay, Commissioner Patrick.
That's.
Commissioner Patrick.
Commissioner Patrick, I don't see him on the agenda. Did I miss him? Oh, there he is. There he is.
Stand out like a sore thumb when you're getting a hard time.
You got a new t-shirt too. Crust upon the LSC.
That was the,
Yes.
skipped over.
This is a $6 million hot water heater.
No, it's not big enough. I did not make this in my chart, but we'll see how long it's, see. And I'll make it. I'll be for you, Sandy, you got it.
Thank you.
So as I approached you earlier in the year around March timeframe, I said, we are likely going to be challenged with regards to the dollars and funding that we have with regards to building maintenance and upgrades. So, hello, I'm back. And we are being challenged here towards the end of the year with regards to the maintenance and upkeep dealing with in the buildings. So as you can see on the left-hand side, the two funds are impacted, or where there are building maintenance dollars that typically come out for various kinds of things, is the Economic Development Fund with regards to the account line, that's a maintenance line, and then the Q and Cap Fund, which has a buildings line in it. So the appropriation that was allotted in 2025 was $185,000 between the two of them. And the current expenditure is roughly about $124,000 spent. So on the right-hand side, you see in yellow what I would call the 2025 pending expenditures. These are either things that are left to be done. One of those has not been started, or one or two of them have not been started, but some of them have been started and will be completed. One of the ones for the Sycamore Valley, which is the building that resides between the Purdue Extension Office along with the Mother's Cupboard building, is in dire need of siding. It has been in dire need of siding for the last 2 or 3 years. So that's an estimate. That has not been as far as a formal proposal done for that, but the estimate's around $15,000 to have that done. The $9,000, we just last week had a problem where we had a water leak. It's costing us about 20 gallons per hour. Okay, that's been identified and it was scoped, and you'll see the construction taking place outside. That's being dug up, so we have to finish that work. It's estimated at around $9,000. And in the conduction, or in the dealing with that water leak, we found that the pressure regulating valve on the building, that this particular building, which is around 30 some odd years old, is not functioning properly and needs to be replaced. So right now we're dealing with water pressures at around 110 to 120 PSI. So our maintenance guys did a very good job of making sure that the commercial grade toilets and sinks and things of that nature have had reduced flow to deal with the water pressure changes. And you'll see that some of our facilities around here are actually closed water fountains and things like that, because they do not deal with it very well. So that's estimated about $9,000 to get the repair fixed, along with the replacement of that pressure regulating valve, and then repaving or dealing with replacement of the asphalt in the parking lot. We also have had, and it's been under contract and released, $10,250 for the law enforcement center elevator. that was approved and allocated and taken care of, or is being taken care of, hopefully within, Brad, I don't remember, I think that service is almost finished.
It's operational now.
It's operational now. So that's $10,250 that we have not received an invoice on yet, but should be coming here within the next week or so. And then the last item, which is water leaking from hot water, 250 gallon water heater in the jail. So if we take those three items, the 15,000, the 9,000, the 10,250, and we apply that against the remaining unexpended, that leaves us with roughly $26,792.89 for the end of the year. Okay, in those two funds. If I go in, which I have to replace the water heater because we're dealing with water leaks and we're dealing with an unsafe condition. So that's when you'll drive us into the red at $22,207.11. My request is that you, the council, authorize the commissioners to utilize GO bond funds to replace that water heater in the jail. Because it's not authorized under the current bond conditions or ordinance that you have in place.
I thought we'd already considered that.
We did talk about.
I raised it. I told you that it's a possibility we could have that happen, and now I am here confirming that it needs to happen.
Well, it's gotta be paid, so, you know, I'm in favor of doing that.
Yes. So on.
Mhm, me too.
Okay. I need a vote,
Yeah.
please.
And actually, is Susan on the line?
Mom.
I'm trying to recall how, you know, we had an ordinance that authorized expenses out of the bond, and we need
I
to,
recall her saying that all you basically need is have minutes in addition where you made a motion and approved that motion with the majority of the board.
It's just up to us to approve it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's make a motion to approve. It's primarily for the hot water heater, correct?
Make a motion that we approve the request, you know, and then if we need to do something later, we can always fill in the blanks.
Jim, what's the amount? Is that the 22 you're?
22.
What are you asking for, Kevin, 20?
Basically, I'm asking for the $49,000 for the water heater be allocated out of the GO bond funds.
Okay, so $99,000 out of the, right.
That will leave me the $26,000 plus to give me to deal with any additional emergencies, which we've had quite a few this year.
Okay. So 49 grand out of the go bond.
Amen. Seconded. Sandy, roll call.
Okay. Okay. Darren?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Joel?
Yes.
Jim?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna move Ed up to the front here, so you can, I know you get sick a while back.
I'm just trying to figure out why I'm saying to you guys.
Unless you wanna sit and observe all this the rest of the
I'm
time.
sure it'll be quick. Go ahead.
Thanks. So, you all have a copy of essentially what's the timeline of the situation that my wife and I had happened in November of last year. Can you guys hear me well? Yes. Got it? Okay, so you have a timeline. Over time, you hear things, and if you don't feel you can directly affect them, you kind of ignore them and say, hey, it doesn't really matter to me, it doesn't, right? So this, the issue of emergency response, like, came very close. There's a very high probability that almost an hour delay of emergency fire services to my house. When the gas main broke off and gas was shooting up the side of my house. Had there been a spark, my house would have gone. Okay, had there been a spark, there's a real chance that I would have been injured because I was the idiot that went out with a pair of pliers and trying to figure out how to shut the thing off. Right? Not advisable. So, you know, I started looking at it in full disclosure. My wife was the 911 director here for 5 years. So she has a real good understanding. So two things. First off, great appreciation for the volunteer fire group. And second off, you know, understanding that we have no paid fire response in the houses during the day, it has come home.
come very close to home. And so, as you look at this, you'll see that finally, not finally, let me put that back. I haven't responded, but the procedure is to go through and try to find somebody. Now, these folks have jobs, they work, they're at home. Long ago, I was a volunteer fireman when Bill and Marlene were the chiefs down in Van Buren before I got moved. And I went on a few runs. The next day, you are totally exhausted from being on a fire. And if you have to go to work, it's really, really tough. So great appreciation. They do a lot for us. We also have an aging population, right? So the number of volunteers that we're going to have that are in their 30s and 40s is shrinking. So it's a bad situation, kind of getting worse. I'm going to go off topic a little bit and I'm going to make a comment. This kind of sparked me. That's a bad joke, isn't it? Yeah. This kind of sparked me into, gee, I wonder if there's something I can do to help. Right. So I started coming to the council meetings. I started thinking, I spent most of my career finding money. And I spent most of my career working on efficiencies. Right. And I wasn't always initially applauded when I went into a plant, but eventually when we made improvements. So I came here to try and learn, to see what I could do to help, perhaps find money, perhaps run for office, which I'm not now. And what I found is this group has improved greatly. And I'm not going to put you on the spot, Judy, but I was on the council many years ago and I was the one no vote. I was the one to sign. We were a one-person vote. You guys have done a fantastic job of getting in and understanding, and I know it's been frustrating. So I want to take this opportunity personally, thank you. So what I'm here asking, I'm here asking that we start looking at data. Because in any entity, if you look at data, play data, you understand data, your data more likely than not will drive the best decision possible, right? We have a lot of data. How are the response times to locations? On here, I put response times from the stations to my house. So can we look at data and start understanding the issue? We pay taxes. I expect emergency services for my taxes. Okay, and in this case, I didn't get it. So I'm trying to get this in as a budget item. I don't know how to start it. I don't know how budget items start, but I think they start with an idea and somebody's saying, hey, let's look at it. So I know it's tight and I know there's nothing that can be done this year, but we ask the commissioners and the council to start looking at what we can do to make these improvements going forward. So let's consider starting with a group of people that have great interest in this and trying to find out what we can do to make that change before it gets worse, and it's going to get worse. Okay. But a lot of you know, I'm going to get a little bit emotional here. I had a 103.6 degree fever. Basically, every organ in my body shut down about a month ago. And I was out for almost 2 weeks, completely unconscious. Okay. I had that happen at my house here. The 30-minute delay or a 30-minute delay, I wouldn't be standing here. So, I mean, maybe it's some kind of message, but this has happened now twice to me. I don't want it to happen again. And I don't want it to happen to anybody else that lives in here and goes, oh, wait a minute, takes 53 minutes for an emergency response, and I'm 12 minutes away from the fire station. That's just not, that to me doesn't make sense. So again, you guys are doing, in my mind, you're doing a bang up job moving everything forward. I'm just grateful that you're letting me bring this up. Do I have an answer? No, but I believe if we start looking at the data and we get a small group of people together, we can start forming a solution. And maybe in 2026, we can find the money. Staff really good at finding money. We can find the money to staff at least 1, 2, or 3 houses. That's about $300,000. Doesn't seem like a lot. Okay, but it's a lot. It doesn't seem like much money to increase safety. So that's it. Thank you for taking the time. I apologize for getting a little bit emotional, but wow. Sir.
Before you run off, I originally was on, when I moved here, on the fire board. Are you familiar with all that around 2007?
When there was a fire district that was
Right,
coming. Yes.
that was the plan, just what you were talking about.
Yes.
However, what we ran into was not really a council issue, because we were finally, for lack of a term here, neutered.
Yes.
And what occurred was it became a turf war between fire departments, volunteers, who had this, who had that, who was in charge, who's not in charge. And that whole thing was put aside. So somehow, if I don't know how you would bring people together, it's like Hamas and Israel. I don't know how that would occur. And secondly, I'm with you, because I've been in need of ambulances here myself. I get that. The response times are poor. I'm sure our insurance could be reduce some, perhaps fire insurance, all of those things. But they're gonna cost, as you know, money. But just so you understand, I've been in the first responder business, or was, for 38 years. I even worked for the old Wishart Hospital Ambulance Service. I was the first state certified EMT they ever had, #1. So I get all of this. I've been around all of this. And there again, we just approved the money.
Yes.
Right? We can't even afford the salaries. So now Commissioner Clark's here. And we made mention at our previous meeting, some of these monies from some of these other sources could possibly be used to fund some of these things. And for me, I don't understand why they can't. We have, if I'm wrong, someone correct me, we have about 15,000 residents per se. Is that right? Anybody know?
Yeah, 15,000.
15,000, okay, and now we have that, but, and my other understanding is we have about 3 million visitors a year.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're right. When I needed an ambulance,
They're over here taking care of it.
it took a long time. And there again, if you had just one, in reality, you would have to have 3, because you'd have to staff it 24 hours a day. And then unless there was some agreement in all of this, then where are you gonna station that one? Are we gonna station it by your house, just as an example, or someone else's house?
Right.
So then you run into equitable issues. So I think if the fire departments, if there was really an interest, that would be their responsibility. And perhaps maybe, like Mr. Clark has stated in the past, and if you want to jump in on this, please do, about some of these other monies that we could possibly bring in from another source or other sources to be used for this very type of thing. At the least, ambulance service, it shouldn't take that long. And I know when I was working as a law enforcement officer, at my house, when there were incidents, I never told the Brown County deputies that I was law enforcement, but I would go out and help them. But sometimes there was only one. Is that correct, Sheriff? Sometimes there was only one in the county since I've lived here on a shift. I mean, it happens. Sickness and also, you're right. We lack, and this, in my opinion, this is not a safe county, not because of crime at all, because of finances, resources, and all of that. But there again, we're struggling immensely to just pay the people. So if we have a better way, like I say, I'm with you 100% in all of that. But I don't know how that would be rectified, but it would start with the emergency services, with the fire departments.
I agree with that. So you asked me if I was around back then. I was. And this is factual, okay? The council had, according to the state in a legal meeting, on a porch by Nashville, to say, oh, we don't want to do this. Okay, so I went to the state and said, wait a minute, you can't have the whole council standing on a porch having a meeting talking about funding the fire station. Okay, so there was a lot of undercurrent, and I would say there's probably some turf wars in the fire departments, but that was being undermined by the council. Okay, and I can tell you that because I was there. I asked the state and the state said, yeah, you can't have that kind of meeting. I was also here, sitting in that chair when Jeff McCabe, and no one knew Jeff when he first came to town, had gotten on the council agenda to talk about it. Okay, we went till almost 11 o'clock and Jeff McCabe was sitting right there. And I waved at him and I said, hey, Jeff. Okay, are you really there or are you just a figment of my imagination? He said, no, I'm really here. And I said, and I looked over and I said, folks, this man has been here till almost 11 o'clock. He was on the agenda. He followed the rules. Why won't we talk to him? So there was a lot of, at that time, there was a lot of undercurrent.
Yes.
Okay, and I can talk and, straight up about it. But let's kind of put that aside. I think it's time that we readdress the issue.
Now,
Okay,
you
but-
laid that out there, but there again, you need a methodology and you need a plan.
I agree.
So perhaps maybe that's something you could.
I should work with Sully, but I don't have any professional authority.
Yeah, it sounds like you're presenting good information here as a topic worth considering. And you are willing to flesh it out or pursue what it would take to fund this. I mean, find out sources of money possibly and the value of it. So if you could do that, I don't know if Patrick would be interested in working with you on that since he's got experience in this or not. But that might be a start to see where this could go.
I think if there was a honest effort on the council and commissioners to fund the departments in some way, shape or form. Okay, I think any of the barriers in the departments started to decline. So it wasn't, I was gonna say that the departments kind of got blamed for it, but it really wasn't. It was an internal. So if we don't have that anymore, I'd be happy to work with you if you're willing to work. But I do think that we need to have, absolutely can't move forward without at least a couple of the fire department chiefs.
You might want to talk to them and see if there's any hostility that was there 16 years ago or so.
So I'll go back to one of the comments and then appreciate. We need to start looking at the data. How long does it take?
Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah.
And you sound like you have the skills and resources.
Give me access to a system and somebody to ask questions to that I can pull a lot.
All right. All right. And I don't know if you'd be interested in helping Patrick if he had a question or so as far as the council goes.
Yeah, I wouldn't have an issue because I did that for quite a while.
So you can
help. No, I'm just saying, if there was a sense of cooperation and those people that would be involved would have an interest, that's the same thing we run into in the council and all these things, as you know. Like I said, I'm with you. I get it. I totally 100% get it. But do they?
So why don't you do that, find the lay of the land, come back and report to us and see what we can, if there's a manner in which to move forward.
I want to respond, make one other point. The ambulances under contract also do runs. So during the day, if IU needs them to transport a person, and guess what? Transports happen during the day. We have the most tourists during the day. So they're transporting people and we need an ambulance. Private transports. They get it paid for.
So that, as a part of our contract, they're allowed to do that instead of having it manned here all the time. They will take an ambulance out of service to make just a general transport. Is that what you're saying?
That's my.
There's another issue in the county. The Community Foundation had some health risk seminars about this where some people use 911 for their doctor. And they have to be transported. So it's not necessarily the best use of it. It's not cost efficient, but it is being done. So if there's ways to resolve that, that would be helpful too.
Yeah, that's ubiquitous.
I don't.
Those are some of the issues that are involved in all this.
I don't have a good contact at the Community Foundation, but I think the Community Foundation would be essential.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate what you all doing. It's going to pay off for everybody here.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. We get, Mark, you won't take very long, right? Let's do that.
I was thinking we may put him at the end. He'll be easy. Right?
No,
No? Okay.
no,
Oh, he's salary. He's not like paying him to be here or anything. I mean.
I sent out an email, so the,
informative email, yeah, explain the situation.
yep.
So reverting and non-reverting fund.
Yes. So essentially, what I'm here for, we about 3 years ago, 2.5, sorry, my dates
Whichever.
fade me. But we had constructed a cell tower at Deerwood Park. And so with that, we have lease payments that come in from the organization that owns that tower monthly. Whenever we had requested to have this fund, like a deposit line set up for that lease payment, there was some sort of an oversight where that was set up as a general fund line, as opposed to a non-reverting fund. So unbeknownst to myself, the payments that we've been receiving were being deposited into a general fund line. So at the end of the year, we were not aware that those funds were then going back to the county instead of staying in our. So ultimately, I'm here to request 3 things. One of which, if we could establish a non-reverting fund as the means of depositing of these rent payments. Then transferring the existing balance that is in that 1,000 line, 1,06501. If we could then transfer that 8,000, which is in there now, we transfer that to the new non-reverting line once that would be established. And then finally, ask that we could be reimbursed or appropriated the funds that had ended up going back to the county over the last 2.5, 3 years.
How much is that?
So that total was $30,333.34.
That's before 2025.
Yes. So the currently 22, correct, yeah. So the amount that's in the existing line today is 8,000. We have 2 additional lease payments that we have not deposited yet. So essentially it'd be the 8,000 transferred to that new line. We could have that set up.
You and I talked last Thursday, I think it was.
Yep.
Okay, and what I'm gonna wanna know is that the commissioners, I think you testified that was it 2019, the decision was made to have the cell tower installed in the Parks and Rec property.
Yes.
Okay. It wasn't until 2022 that the actual cell tower was up and running.
Constructed.
Yes.
Okay. And then it was sometime in 2022, do you know, is it 1,000 a month even? How much is,
1,000 a month.
is it even, $1,000 even?
Yep. And
All right,
until there's 5-year increments where it increases.
all right, so there's 60 grand that will roll in over the next 5 years from backdated to 2022, whatever that month is that we first received the first installment, right? Okay, and then when that cell tower was constructed, the consensus was that we're gonna put it on Parks and Rec, and the commissioners at that point in time made a decision that that revenue off the cell tower was to go to Parks and Rec.
Correct.
This is essentially what's happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, number one, we need a complete audit trail of how much money the county's received. Where are the checks? Are the checks going to Parks and Rec, or the checks?
Checks are sent to Parks and Rec. We then issue them to.
So you guys actually get a physical check
Correct.
made payable to Brown County Parks and Rec.
We entered into the system.
Okay, I'm not quite sure why it's not ACH, but anyway. But before we make any decisions, we made, this needs to be set, first of all, I don't understand why it's 2025 in October 2025, and this was 2019 and 2022, and now here we are, and we're just now wanting to deal with this. I mean, I don't get that. It's amazing. But my understanding is that money, we need to create a 4,000 series fund. Home rule fund, number one, and number two, the commissioners need to pass an ordinance with the specifics of what this money can be used on. That's A, it's for exclusively the Parks and Rec, to be used exclusively by Parks and Rec. And then there needs to, that ordinance needs to speak to how Parks and Rec can utilize that money and what you can spend it on, what you can't spend it on. That needs to be in writing, that ordinance needs to be passed, and it needs to be part of that 4,000 series fund, so that 10 years from now, that somebody's not in here above the council and there's mass confusion on what can be done and what can't be done and so on and so forth. All right? Because if we're gonna do this, let's do it the right way, or let's not do it. Let's clean it up, make sure it's extremely organized, make sure we think it out through so that we can do it one time and be done with it. And from that point forward, there's no misunderstanding on how this 30 grand or this 12 grand a year that you're gonna get, what it can be used on, what it can't be used on. Because that money stays in that fund. And it
Is there a problem constraining it?
Pardon me?
Yes, we have. Is there a problem constraining it to what it can be used on or not?
I mean, ultimately that decision when it was originally made was turnover would be made by the Parks Board. So,
Right, but that decision is not up to Parks and Rec, Gary. That decision is to the commissioner's office, has to make that decision. So if the commissioners choose to give the Parks and Rec complete unfettered discretionary access to the money to be spent on anything, that decision is the commissioners.
No,
Period.
the council.
No, it's not. Based on the State Board of Accounts, and Jackie, if you want to intervene here, I had a conversation with the State Board of Accounts and they told me that it's a 4,000 series fund and the commissioners are to set up the ordinance that oversees that fund. If it's the council, then fine, we, the council, will do it. Either way, that is either the council or the commissioner's
It's always
responsibility.
been done by the council in the counties that I've worked in, and it's distributed where the money comes from and what it can be paid for, all within that one.
And all I'm saying is this, let's get something in writing, let's get it recorded. That way, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, it's not an issue. Okay, we don't find ourselves here right now and you're having to go back and go, gee, I thought I was supposed to get this money and we've been somebody else is telling me I can't spend it. That's the risk that you run.
So he's not saying you don't like being here. Clear, just, you know what I mean? So we know you enjoy visiting. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we do this, Jim? I think whatever that rule is, and I don't know if Susan's on yet, but she would be able to tell us right now, hey, how do you do this?
Yeah.
But I think at a minimum, we know money's gonna come in, he's going to do a non-reverting fund. Let's go ahead and get on our next agenda.
If we possible, we got November, if we can have it done by the end, do you need this money now to go buy something?
no,
Okay, so if we could have it done by our last regular council meeting in December, which I don't see why we wouldn't be able to meet that goal. Because that gives us enough time to, get around to Susan, find out, clear up, is it the commissioners, is it the council, clear that up, get the ordinance, whoever, and then make a decision and get it set up, and let's just make sure it's squeaky clean, all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed, that's all I want to do. Okay, I don't have a problem with giving you the money, it's just, let's just not find ourselves in this position 3 years from now.
So maybe at our work session, we add it to these agendas.
Work session, yeah.
Okay, here's the order.
Yeah.
Here's what's allowed, what's not.
Let's get it written up, let's get it passed in that way.
So add it to the next.
Because actually, if that were the case, Scott, if we put it on our special session in November, then the only thing we got that, the special session in November, then at our November meeting, we can actually pass it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that way in November, it's done.
It's all right. Does that sound good, Mark? Does that sound good?
sure.
Appreciate it.
All right.
I had a couple questions, just real quick, though. One, as far as just like up to the discretion of the council versus the commissioners on what those funds would be allocated for.
So currently we have two other non-reverting budgets. We have our non-reverting operating budget, we have our non-reverting capital budget. So I guess I'm confused on, Jim, you're saying you need to find out if this is something that the commissioners versus the council has to determine what that would be allocated.
No, writing the ordinance, okay? And all I'm saying is that if you have any and this is a big if.
Yes, sir.
Is there, I think this could take you, I don't know, it might take you 3 or 4 days, but is there any written documentation vis-a-vis minute meetings for commissioners meetings? I'm assuming the commissioners made the decision to have, well, they'd have to. The commissioners would have to make the decision to have a cell tower built on Parks and Rec because the commissioner owns it, right?
There would have been.
Okay. If you can check the minutes, for commissioners going back, and if you could give Sandy some kind of a date range. So that, and then if she could find, hopefully there's in the minutes of those meetings, there's something there that says, hey, we're gonna give you this 12 grand a year, dude. You guys can buy lawnmowers, you can do whatever you want to with it. And we could just document it that way. There wouldn't be any, back and forth on, well,
I believe unfortunately a few months ago, we looked into this and there was no record in the commissioner minutes.
So we'll just have to take your word for it.
So, yeah.
So you swear to tell the cultures, not interest.
I'll scratch my head a little bit more and see if I can dig up an email. But
I personally don't have it. It's 12 grand a year. Okay. So it's not, I don't personally have an issue. What you're gonna do with it.
yeah,
Just don't plant any marijuana plants or something.
sure.
Our work session will be on November 6th with the YMA.
That could be revenue generating, Jackson.
Last thing I was gonna throw in that into, just to your question about wondering why, with it being 2.5, 3 years, we receive the check each month from the tower company. We deposited, and give it to the auditor's office to be deposited. We get a sheet back where it shows that that deposit is made, but not the itemized current balance. We keep a balance on our end through Parks and Rec. So unfortunately, it was deemed that that was going into a non-reverting fund.
Right. That's all right.
It was,
Let's just resolve it going forward.
so,
We should
okay,
have a record.
I'm sorry.
Should have a record for it too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Next item is Commissioners, Insurance and Music Center Governance.
Kevin, you got
Kevin?
something?
Before he finishes that, and this is a question that you probably will want to ask, is if you're going to go the route of an ordinance, if I'm not mistaken, has, especially if you're talking about funding, it has to have 2 public hearings. That's not proceed. So just, that's a timeline thing, I think.
Yeah,
Let's
thank
not take any shortcuts. Let's just do this the right.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that way it fits into your schedule, so he knows.
Thank you.
Penciling in, yeah.
2 more meetings.
Okay, this is gonna be, insurance was kind of a typo was on there. I'm just gonna talk about the music center governance. I sent you guys a summary of the meeting minutes we had from the commissioners. I summarized that in the email. I'll just give you the highlights and then turn it over to you for any discussion you may want to have. Number 1 is the Grant County Music Center as a county asset. The collateral for the loan for that music center as a county asset. So the revenue, the innkeeper's tax, again, county asset. Policy is, the position is the officials, elected officials should accept accountability on behalf of the citizens, not appointed officials. And there's 4 primary areas I want you to consider. On the administrative agreement, the distribution of excess revenue. Not going to debate the 75-25 where it should go, but the elected officials should be making those decisions. Board membership, to start off with, Maple Leaf Management Group started off with 5 members, increased it to 2, added 2 at large. One of those at large is a former commissioner, and there's also an appointee on there from the CBB. Again, that's not an appointed official, it's appointed by them, so to speak. The suggestion is replace 2 of those positions with councilmen, and then that would give a 4 to 7 majority on elected officials. Another important feature, I think, on that is influence profit determination. And I think, Patrick, you mentioned that one. What should be the profit distribution with a goal for the music center? Do we go for break even or do we go for optimum profit? For instance, you could have the most successful shows subsidize the less successful shows with the intent of getting as many people into the seats that you can to support the tourism industry, or you shoot for more profit. Again, that should be an elected official decision on that distribution, how it should be calculated. The other one that's most important is risk management. What does that look like from a reserve fund in case of an economic downturn? We had that in the case of COVID. I remember when I asked the council at the time, what would we do in a case of worst case? It's like, well, we'll just sell it, turn it back, order it back. Well, that's not feasible. When COVID happened, the taxpayers would absorb that additional funds. So again, if something happened, people are going to be looking at elected officials, not appointed officials. And so the bottom line there is elected officials ought to have the accountability for those key decisions of the operation of the music center. That would require a change either voluntarily on behalf of the Maple Leaf management. Any questions for me on that?
I'd just like to make one change to what you said. When, during COVID, the decision wasn't that, if something happened, we just let the bank take it over and sell it. That was a comment made by one councilman to make a point that it's not going to be, it's not going to fall on citizens. I just would like to correct that. No, the decision was not made that if something happens, we're just going to let it go back to the bank itself. That was it.
That's hyperbole at the time.
Yes.
Darren.
I just wanted to correct that statement.
Yeah.
So if this occurred the way you propose, what other changes could be made for the uses of the money that is made available through profit for us?
Well, that's really a council call. When you have the distribution, that revenue, what percent of that distribution should go to the county, and then how do we want to spend it? That's a council call.
So we could use it for emergency services.
Public safety.
Because we just seem so short funded here with 3 million visitors a year. I can't believe that we couldn't get the citizens, the residents here behind something like that, because we're all getting shortchanged. And it appears to be, in my opinion, the majority for the businesses. That's just my opinion.
Well, Patrick, you referenced sources of revenue. I think that was discussed at a workshop of the
Yes, it was.
council. And the issue was on the innkeeper's tax. We went from the 5% to 8%. And one of the categories other counties have exploited was quality of life. And of course, that's determined by the county. And I would think public safety be directly related to quality of life, but that's a different conversation, but that's a source of revenue that's probably dire needed.
And that amount could be decided by county officials, correct?
Correct. Elected officials, correct.
Just to be forthright with you, I've spent a considerable amount of time and have over the last couple of years. I've got all the documentation with that entire project from the beginning with me. And what I want to start with, for me, to try to understand the why. All right. And I know I've got copies of your email that you sent out twice to us. And then I also followed the article that you posted back in 2019, I think it was. Yeah, May the 23rd, 2019. So I've got that, and I'm just using these two pieces as my reference.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So, in your correspondence with the council, you make the comment, and I quote, "Elected officials are accountable to the citizens." And I wholeheartedly agree with that statement. This is true provided the elected officials are forthright with their citizens. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. Now, I'm going to go on. My first question is and I'm going to quote, "The music center and the revenue from the innkeeper's tax are a county asset." Can you define for me what your definition of a county asset is?
Okay. Well, revenue from the innkeeper's tax required a state tax. So that's a state government to apply that tax. The county has chapter 14 and innkeeper's tax, that's the county government. Identifying the requirement for the state of how that money should be distributed or what it can be used for. We have a treasurer collect it, we have an auditor to manage it. That's county government. That's a county asset.
Okay, well,
That's not possible without government.
what about the real estate?
Well, we can go on there, Jim, but
The music center, is that, I mean, see, there's, to me, where I get confused is that, you know, when I ask the question, how do you define a county asset? You know, there's two different definitions. You know, is it defined as a useful or valuable thing, person, or quality? So for example, I can make the claim that the Brown County State Park, the Hoosier National Forest, and Yellowwood Forest is a county asset, even though the county doesn't own it. On the other side of the fence, though, is the definition of property owned by a person, company, or a government. So to me, when I look at the physical asset, the real estate, the music center, and when I look at that innkeeper's tax, while it is per state statute, that innkeeper's tax is actually a sales tax that is paid by the private sector. And furthermore, it is the private sector that it creates the tourist rentals, you know, Brown County Inn, the hotels, the seasons. So that's a private sector asset that's being paid, the sales tax being paid by, you know, the private sector for the people that come to our county and want to stay overnight for less than 30 days. And I don't view the music, well, matter of fact, I don't at all. The county does not own the music center, the real estate, and that innkeeper's tax, furthermore, per state statute, the county does not have the discretion at all of how they spend that money. That is the per state statute, the CBC has that discretion. Now, the only governance that the county has over that innkeeper's tax, you know, is the county council currently has statutory oversight to approve that CBC budget once a year. And if you remember here, it's been a few months ago that we had a unanimous vote from the council to recommend to the CBC board members, the 5 board members, that they create a governing document with the policies and the procedures of how they make decisions to allocate those resources once a year. Because an issue is that since Scott did the work and was able to take that from a 5% to an 8%, I did the math. In 2022, there was $1,161,858 in innkeeper's tax revenue. In 23, it was $1,327,512, and in 24 it was $1,363,245. So if I take that total for that 3-year period is $3,852,615. Well, that 3-year average at a 5% is $1,284,205, which means that there's $25,684,000 in gross sales a year in Brown County that is spent on overnight stays less than 30 days. So going forward at an 8% tax, we're looking at a little over $2,054,000 a year in revenue coming in. And what's interesting is the annual mortgage payments on that because it's a mortgage. There's actually Lisbon State Bank mortgage. Because all the council did, and I've got a copy of it here, I can read it if you like, that all the council did is they simply pledged the innkeeper's tax. That was it. And I think it was just phenomenal on those individuals that put their heads together and made this thing happen. Because what they did is they took a revenue source, pledged a revenue source, and then they created a separate entity that didn't exist before that. And now all of a sudden, not only do we have 2 million coming in the innkeeper's tax revenue, but we also have revenue coming in from a non-for-profit business that did not exist before. And now we got another source of revenue coming in. It was brilliant.
So and what's interesting is that the 32% of the 2 million a year in innkeeper's tax is all we need in order to be able to service the debt. And if you flip that around the other way, is that music center, we created a brand new revenue stream. And number two, the secondary benefit of that music center was to support the hospitality sector and to stabilize and hopefully increase the occupancy rate during those winter months. And I want that occupancy rate to stay as high as I possibly can, because if not, then we would potentially lose BCI and the seasons, and I would really be upset if those two entities went out of business. So the thing that's interesting is that even if the occupancy rate, and we had another black swan like we had in 2020, but let's say it's worse. Let's say we got a global economic meltdown and unemployment shoots up to 10%. We would, even if we lost, if our occupancy rate decreased by 68% and the music center was completely shut down and closed, we'd still have enough money to be able to service the debt on the music center. So I wanted to share that with you because again, it goes back to, do you believe county government owns the music center? And you believe that the county government owns the innkeeper's tax and county government should control the music center and the innkeeper's tax?
Yeah, let me summarize, Jim. For one, on ownership, you use the term ownership. It's a county asset.
And how do you define county asset?
It took the council, for one.
How do you define county asset? Is it physically does the commissioner's office own the real estate?
Own. Technically, no, as you well know.
Okay.
But is it an asset for the county? Yes, it is. Did it require county government, state government to make that happen? Yes, it did. Did it require a vote by the council of commissioners to approve this project? Yes, it did.
Okay.
And from the debt standpoint, as you all know, it's an Indiana sleight of hand. If we're gonna, and Music Center was purchased under the same guidance as we did the jail. It's a separate issue.
We didn't issue any bonds.
A separate entity.
There were mortgages.
A separate entity.
Mortgages.
A separate entity with the jail was created to manage the jail. We do a lease to buy. And so our lease payments are in the budget. That's a requirement for the county to pay those lease payments that we have. And the music center is the same way. They developed a make-believe management group or make-believe building corp to take possession of that land and as well as the mortgage. So that's a separate entity. The government of Indiana allows to happen for our county. And when you talk about sales tax, Jim, the county or the state is funded primarily by sales tax and income tax. And so it's to their benefit to generate as much revenue as they possibly can to generate more of those sales tax. The infrastructure for that is on the county citizens. How many times have we talked about public safety and the sheriff's department has to support that, the state park, that's county. All our infrastructure associated with this thing happens, that's county. So the county taxpayers are picking up a lot of the bills where they're picking up the bills for the infrastructure. They're picking up public safety. And we're not getting compensated for that. So now when we talk about this make-believe management group of that, Jim, it's an administrative agreement that can be changed, that can be influenced. So the question becomes, do you want to allow these kinds of decisions to be made by non-elected officials, or do you want to have the elected officials accountable? That's the call.
Well, I don't see it that way. I've got a different perspective.
Okay.
Okay. And let me go on to my second question, because you're acknowledging that when you use the phrase county asset, you're going to use it in the same context that we could use the state park as a county.
No, I'm not using that. That's
so you're using.
That's a misdirection on
So
the part.
I'm asking you,
How is the
you have
state
yet
park
to define it.
How is the state park? What control do we have at all, if any, over the state park? County citizens, what control do we have over the state park?
And this is at the core of the issue. You're making the claim that the Maple Leaf Building Corporation and the innkeeper's tax is a Brown County government asset. The Brown County government owns it and should control it all, is what your claim is. It's an asset. You're going to define it. You're defining it as
a, let me look it up here, you know. There's only two definitions and, but you're defining it as the county, Brown County government owns the music center and it owns the innkeeper's tax.
Well, you're talking ownership, which is a whole different issue.
No, it's not. It
It
isn't. It isn't. It isn't.
And the other thing, the key
It
point,
is-
Jim,
it isn't.
is when it looks at that administrative agreement, council, the commissioners have responsibility for that contract. They have ultimate, we could change that agreement. We can develop a new agreement. The commissioners do, the county does.
Well, that is yet to be, that is yet to be seen.
Jim, I've researched with Barnes and.
Well, I know, while we're on that, you make the statement, a county asset managed by unelected officials includes tourism business owners can provide a perception of conflict of interest. Who in the county is making claims to create the perception of a conflict of interest that you're aware of?
How's that a relevant question?
Because you made the statement. I'm challenging you on your statement. You're presenting the statement as truth. And I'm challenging you on that
Well,
statement.
look at who, on the Major League Management Group, on the membership, Jim, look at the list of the individuals.
In my opinion, this article that you put in the paper, you're the one that's challenging and creating a negative perspective of the Maple Leaf Management Group.
Well, Jim, that's your interpretation. I stated facts.
Yeah. Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, there's Gould in here on this article, and I could read the article and put it in the document, May 23rd, 1990. But with a tendency to overstate the economic culture impact of the venue. Mr. Gould states that the Brown County Music Center is a community project designed to be an asset for everyone. This is a disingenuous statement. This was not a true statement. Revenue from innkeeper's tax can be used for any project that promotes tourism. This is a decision that he and his fellow tourist owners do not have to make the power and force. The county commissioners and the council who had to approve this project on behalf of the county citizens refused to hold public meetings to solicit citizens' input or the desirability of the project or to consider and discuss other options. I was opposed to the process that was used to fact track this project. And so to me, you were the one as a blogger. You've been a professional blogger for Brown County for years now. And as a blogger, you have been against this project from day one.
It's not true.
And I'm just using your language here.
It's not true. I was against the process.
This is what you said here.
And stated in some public meeting.
And then I have another thing I want to understand, because I don't understand it. You made a statement in commissioners meeting just recently, selling the music center is not an option. Market value at 3 million plus or minus. Where are you coming up with the 3 million?
Well, I stated that in the email I sent you.
No,
AMC Global.
documentation.
It was,
How, where and how did you obtain the estimated value you quoted? Where did you get the information to quote that 3 million?
as I quoted in there, that I referenced in your email, AMC Global identified that the market.
Did you pay for a business valuation report from AMC Global?
No, we asked for an opinion. We asked for Barnes and Thornburg to connect us with someone familiar with that particular area. We had conversations with
So you
them.
had a 5-minute conversation on a phone call, but you didn't pay for an actual professional business valuation.
That's correct.
Okay, so it's an opinion.
It is their opinion.
It's nothing but an
They're
opinion.
educated,
It's
opinion by
nothing-
individuals that
It's
are,
nothing but an opinion. They don't have,
individuals that work the area.
there's no value or there's no merit to the claim because it's simply a subjective claim based off no facts.
And we could go ahead and contract for that.
Okay, well, but that leads me to my next question, is that you say the commissioner's position identified as desiring 100% of the excess revenue go to the county. Elected officials should have 4 of the 7 seats, so a majority is what you're proposing.
Correct.
Okay, 3 council and 1 commissioner. Why?
Why?
Yeah, why? Why are you proposing that the basically Brown County government takes over complete control of the Maple
I'm
Leaf
not saying-
Management Corporation?
That's not necessarily accurate.
If you got 4 out of 7, that's a controlling vote.
That's an influencing vote.
Now, what I want to know, for me, the other thing too is,
So you're saying you're gonna have to, that you're not confident in making those particular,
well, first of
that
all,
input on a Facebook group?
first of all,
why has the commissioner's office from February 05 to 2024 through March the 14th of 2025, you guys have spent over $11,874.37 with Barnes and Thornburg on music center legal fees. You've spent almost 12 grand on legal fees with Mike Moga, Tom Pittman. I've got copies of all the invoices right here. All right, and you clearly have been in conversation with Mike Moga and Tom Pittman on how to go in and structure and change the management agreement is what you've done.
No, I asked what was possible from a legal perspective.
Right, so you've been working on that.
Responsibility of the commissioners would be on something like this.
So you've been
So
working
when I
on,
came forward with this particular idea, I would know exactly what we could.
you've been working on this for months and months and months on end. And then you show up here in front of the council and you basically say, hey, council, would you guys favor us changing the Maple Leaf management agreement to where we've got three council members and one commissioner? Because basically what we want to do is we want to take over the management agreement. Is essentially what you're saying. And what I guess I'm a little confused is the county council currently, right now, all right, we have oversight over the CBC because it is the CBC board that makes decision on how they allocate that vis-a-vis their Form 1 every year when they turn it into a budget. And we can either approve or reject it. And furthermore, this year, the CBC board, I believe, I know we did, they are picking up the cost for Parks and Rec. And so that's to the tune of $225,000. So they're already picking up some of that cost. Well, the council has discretionary control over the CBC, the innkeeper's tax revenue. And furthermore, that innkeeper's tax revenue per state statute cannot be transferred out of the innkeeper's tax fund. And it cannot be, commingled with any other revenue. And any line items, any money spent in that innkeeper's tax fund, the line items have to stay within that. And Mr. Clark, my perspective is simply this, is that your request to pursue county government control over a domestic non-for-profit corporation is quite simply an example of socialism. If we permit this to happen based on perpetual and historical mischaracterizations, what's next? Government control of the Playhouse, the CBC, and the foundation. Where does it stop? And then lastly, I'll finish with this. Rather than forgetting the government intervention in our tourism industry, we should express our sincere appreciation to the many community members who willingly serve as board members of the local non-for-profit organizations, dedicating their time and effort to continue and enhance the quality of life within our community. So I am absolutely against and will not support any changes to the Maple Leaf Management Agreement. And I want it left as it is. And furthermore, because the other thing too, let's just say this, our credit rating this last week from Standard & Poor's was dropped. We were a AA-, and now we went to an A. We've got a scathing report coming in from the State Board of Accounts. And when I look at the financial situation that I inherited when I came into this position here back in 2023, to have elected officials that we just arbitrarily vote because we know their last name, we like the guy, he's a heck of a guy, but we have no idea whether they got the skill sets or not to be able to manage a business. That is a business over there. And I would want private sector, because the private sector, hospitality sector in our county, they have skin in the game. They have a vested interest. And to be able to take 100% of the profit of that music center and give it to the foundation, I have no problem with that whatsoever, because the foundation is there to support, what do we got, over 100 non-for-profits in this county? So to have to create a revenue stream with the music center that didn't exist, being managed by the private sector who has a vested interest in that entity to generate the revenue, to transfer it to the foundation, to have the foundation feed it back into the community, because we have a whole boatload of, thank God we've got the volunteers that we've got in this county that sit on those not-for-profit boards, and they work to try to improve the quality of our life. And I have no interest whatsoever to take that private sector company, all right, and turn it over to 4 elected officials who may or may not have any business sense whatsoever. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, and I'll yield back my time, Mr. President.
Yes, right here. I don't think we'll ever get that.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Anyways, to sum it up a little bit here, is what involvement currently do we have in influence and involvement is what the government does in this entity? Do we have in that? I know the council is represented, you're the representative there. The commissioners, I don't think have chosen to be involved. That concerns me. It's sort of like you do want to take more control, but you don't want to be involved. And I would like that to be exercised before we go into saying, okay, let's try and do some control things. The other thing is that my understanding is the music center is like, in about 3 years, they've met some of their 10-year goals. I think you may know something about that, John. I'm not sure, but Eric, Darren. So it's moving ahead nicely. If we exercise our part, it might have more influence. It's a suggestion I have. Commissioners, get somebody in there.
And Mr. President, I will say this is that, now, I'm not going to say that there isn't a room for the council for continuous improvement.
Always.
So, we as a council body can certainly work more closely with the CBC. We can work more closely with Maple Leaf Management, and we can work more closely with the CVB so that we can understand some of the challenges that they face and how do we all work together in a collaborative effort for the benefit of the county. And so I think we can do that going forward. Is pay more attention and,
We will, and we
Yeah.
are. Yeah, like you said, yes, their governing documents to the CBC and such like that. The other thing is, my understanding is the reason the county government had to take a position in supporting the music center with the innkeeper's tax guarantee was because there was no other such entity and the banks were not secure. Now that we have an entity of that sort, if another business of some nature like that were wanting to come in, we have a track record. We, as the county government, would probably not be likely asked to take a position in supporting them. So that's just the nature of business and security. So I don't know if you needed anything.
That's all right. For one on the Barnes and Thornburg, it $1,000 an hour doesn't take much to roll up the hours. My question, Barnes and Thornburg, was one of our responsibilities and capabilities when it comes to that management agreement. So before I even talked about it, make any kind of change, I want to find out what we can and can't do and what the responsibility of the commissioners are. So that was a very short conversation, probably 2 or 3 emails to get the kind of the answer that I got. And then of course, Ron Sanders ran on Selma Music Center. The next part of that was, is that even feasible? So we went through and did that. And then the issue became out in the distribution of that revenue, who makes that decision and that kind of thing. So, did the due diligence when it comes to that, would want to propose any kind of changes that we couldn't by 40 do if the desire was there. The next step is bringing to the council, get your positions, which I'm getting now. So what I'm hearing, Jim Kemp is pushing for a status quo, not broke, don't fix it. Okay, I understand that. That's what primaries are all about. And I understand that particular position. Any other questions for me when it comes to that?
Yeah, and then let's clarify something. Tim, you guys ran up 19.7 billable hours, and we were charged as a county $602.76. It'd be a different story. You talk again about, elected officials are accountable to citizens. Well, I'm a county citizen, all right? And I don't like it when people begin to make decisions in a vacuum. So the two of you guys took it upon your own to go pursue the phone calls with Barnes and Thornburg and not want to, Gary, was the council ever approached to say, hey, look, we're going to begin to kind of talk to Barnes and Thornburg on how we can go in and perhaps change the management agreement with, Maple Leaf Management Agreement. I don't know that, was the council ever included in any of those conversations or those phone calls?
Well, that's under the commissioner's authority.
Oh, so it's okay for you guys just to make decisions in a vacuum, and then you make a decision and you take it up and then you come in here and say, hey, we want to go in and change the management agreement.
Say that.
That's what you've done.
No, yeah, Jim, we went out and asked for information, which is what we got. We didn't make any decisions.
And I'm assuming your comment about the primary is a threat if I run or.
Not a threat.
No, we're not making threats.
I mean, you're making,
All right, we've
you're
gone
making
enough on
decisions.
this.
I have an opinion on this too. I do think we need more oversight. From what little I see, and I'm relatively new at this, when I see, if I understood correctly at the meeting, that money spent for lights for holidays for $50,000, I question that. So if we can waste that kind of money, I'm not saying you don't need lights, but I think more of this needs looked at. I do. I do think that, now wait a minute, let me finish, Jim. Okay, I do think it does need looked at. I don't think we should just throw this under the bus. We make all kinds of decisions that to me are very bizarre on the council. So to just pick out one thing like this, I don't see where that's equitable to them because they're acting within your scope of legality, correct?
Correct.
We do the same thing. We do the exact same thing. So if we're going to be open and above board, we need to be open and above board on both sides. Because just like emergency services, I don't think left to the desires of the way it is that any money would ever be attributed to emergency services. When you just heard the other fellow come up here and speak, you know, we can't even provide a decent ambulance service, so we need other forms of revenue. So is that looked at? So to make it just short, I don't think we have just cut somebody off and not listen to both sides, because we've spent what, $50,000 on WIS? I mean, we do the same thing, and we didn't ask probably your opinion to do that, correct? So it's equitable on both sides. I don't think we need to fight. We just need to work it out.
Yeah, we need to work better, closer together, and that's hopefully being done. The other question
We
is,
did work with the commissioners on the WIS study.
Right.
It's a preparation of the entirety of
Yeah.
the county government.
yeah, some of the other context of this is opportunity cost. What's the growth and development of the county? How are we addressing that? We've got an entity such as the Music Center that is quote, I don't know, how you guys want to define it as an asset, but is an asset. It's bringing in tourists and things of that nature and stimulating the economy. So leave that alone and let's keep developing other areas. That's one thought in terms of using our resources, our time.
I'd like to make one two-part comment on.
Go ahead, Ed. Been waiting for you
As
there.
far as the board makeup of the music center, I think it has a good mix of county representation and talented business owners and operators. I mean, that's what the music center needs. It doesn't need more government. It needs talented business operators. And so I think the balance there, I don't want to put government in control of it because I don't trust government.
Thank you. You're around sponsor.
I don't trust government. You want somebody to screw something up, give it to a government. And as far as the distribution between the community foundation and the county, again, I don't trust government. I don't want the government to get 100% of the excess profit because I don't trust government. The government needs it because the citizens are paying the taxes. So if we can get some tax relief out of the music center into the general fund to pay some of the expenses that we have as a county, that's fine. I want that to happen. I also want it to go to the community foundation because they are a private sector, not-for-profit that benefits the county. They are a flow through. They have an endowment that builds and funds needs within the county that we as a council can't or shouldn't be doing. So that's why I wanted the mix between, the private sector, not-for-profit and government, some tax relief out of it and a benefit to the county. And I see that as happening. So I wouldn't want to change that either. When we were originally talking about the distribution, I wanted 50-50, but 75-25 with the county getting the pilot, the payment in lieu of taxes, which is going up every time. And as a board, we are working on getting that up every year to where it is an actual, like a business paying marketable property tax. So that's the goal on that, is to get that to that point. So the county's getting that, and it's a good mix. I think it's a good mix of profit sharing from the excess profits to the community foundation and the county where we have now.
Aaron, you realize that the government you don't trust, you're part of, right?
Yeah, I know. I understand. Yes, I don't trust government. Inherently, I don't trust government. I know my intentions on it. 10 years from now, I might not be here. So then we've got a government that I have no say so in, and you won't be. None of us may be here. So anything we do now, we're going to be, trusting to the machine of government, and I don't trust the machine of government.
Well, like you said, there's a private skills that are, government's pretty secure. It doesn't have to be in the pulse of the industry to say, we gotta be competitive.
Yeah.
And those people have to be competitive, which stimulates a lot of good results.
Have to have some business sense.
Yeah, right. So, well, let's,
And I don't, just final comments, I don't think you'd see much of a change with 4 of the 7 management group members being government, or being 3 from council, 1 for commissioners. I don't think you see much of a change in the operations center. I mean, they got excellent staff, they're doing an excellent job, the agreements are in there, the revenue streams coming in there, it's well known, so I don't think you'd see a dramatic difference. The only thing is, you'd be more accountable to the citizens as to how that distribution should go, and then what that profit should be as a return back to the county. So I don't see a major change by the distribution from a board membership, but that's my opinion.
The board controls and votes on staffing of the music center. So if you had, if you had 4 people, that decided to get together and collaborate, and decide to ruin or wreck the music center, you could have them go in there and change the makeup of the board or the makeup of the staff. And it could be a lot of problems. And you can have that, and that's inherent in anything.
You not trust any of the 3 councilmen that may be assigned to that particular board, is what you're saying. I guess
I don't give government, I don't give government full trust.
no, I think he's saying that the skill set of people who are vitally involved with competitive business is probably better than fat and sassy government people who can fail and it doesn't really make a difference.
Well, Diana Biddle's an at-large member. Does she have that background that you're referring to?
I'm not saying this, I'm just saying the leaning of which way to do it. And I'd like to see more commissioner involvement too. That would be helpful in your situation.
We're not talking about running the business, we're talking about allocating funds, from what I perceive, correct?
No,
We don't run their business, obviously. They all run their
They have
business.
CBO.
We're just basically talking about how to distribute funds.
Also, overall management,
Right.
and you just rely on the leaders that you have on there.
First of all, the council right now has, when you talk about accountability to the citizens, the council has the statutory responsibility of oversight on the innkeeper's tax.
Correct.
Period.
Correct.
Okay, so we have taxpayer accountability. On the other side of the fence, though, is we're talking about a private sector performing arts center, I guess. I don't know what you call it. You call it performing arts center? And what I know is that my role since January 2023 until now, 33 months later, the amount of the time and energy, first of all, it's not a part-time job, not if you're gonna take it serious, because the amount of time and energy I've had to expend just on self-educating myself, right? Because the breadth and depth that's required for me to be an effective council member is huge. I mean, we just got off an AIC call, because the AIC is having conversations about, do we implement some sort of a certification training for elected officials vis-a-vis either commissioners and our council members? And so that the breadth and depth of the knowledge base, when you look at Title 36, you look at the DLGF, you look at the State Board of Accounts, and the historical language, all the different acronyms, because we've got tons of acronyms, takes an enormous amount of work. Well, what do I know about managing a performing arts business? I don't know anything about managing a performing arts business. And we're electing the county council members and the commissioners to manage our county business. Because, I wish the public would understand that I want my net assessed value of my real estate to go up. I don't like buying depreciating assets. Furthermore, I've never had a client come into my office after making 200 grand in a 12-month period and tell me they were mad because they got to pay too much in taxes. But the minute you bring up net assessed value in personal and property tax, everybody assumes that the reason their property tax goes up is because their net assessed value goes up. And that's categorically false.
is the reason our property taxes go up is because the council doesn't manage and pay attention to the expenses.
Okay, we're gonna have to curtail this.
Well,
Another thing to do already.
Jim, just
Let's focus on managing the county, not private sector business, and let's let the private sector business manage the private sector business.
Here's my final comment. In order to build the music center, you had to have approval by the county commissioners and the county council. It's all in there.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Good stuff. All right, anybody else wants to say anything briefly on that? John, you got something because you're Community Foundation.
Yep.
You're on the table there with that.
Well, thanks for the opportunity, and I'm sorry to take a little time on a long agenda for you guys, but I didn't choose to put it on there. But I'd say as a foundation, we've spent way too much time dealing with this issue over the last year plus at the expense of time we could have been supporting nonprofits. Time we should be spending thanking the current ownership, governance, leadership, and funding model, which is exceptionally good and it's rare in this state. We're too focused on a negative, but we should be thanking them for exceptional performance. Not this recurring obsessive pattern of a few people determine the damage was not broken and eliminate an impressive list of unique ongoing benefits for Brown County. So I've got a career that included federal government, large corporations, largest nonprofit in this state, couple dozen community boards. So I've built teams, I've fixed teams, I've had to match the skill set, the subject matter expertise of those teams to the goals. What are those strategic outcomes? That's how you succeed. You build the team that matches the work that needs to be done. You don't just go on some power and control excursion instead. The Community Foundation is deeply appreciative of the funds that we get from Maple Leaf, the governing board. We are. We don't take it for granted, and we don't take funds from any donor for granted. We don't have this sense of entitlement. But we also believe we've been very trustworthy custodians of those funds. We've used them as the donor intended, and we've driven outcomes that have met or exceeded those donor hopes. And frankly, resent this sort of recurring implication that we're not good stewards of the resources. We appreciate the trust that current 75-25 ratio represents and the outcomes that we're working hard as volunteers to achieve. So I don't understand why so much effort has gone into this Seize the Music Center funds that are shared with the foundation. I'm sure I don't have my percents right, but it seems to me that there's all this effort going into what happens with 1% of the dollars needed to fix the county government that's challenged. Why not work on the other 99%? Chasing the wrong dollars, in my opinion. I also don't understand why there was all this talk about selling the music center and a multi-million-dollar loss in terms of value of the asset to help in one budget year, one blip, when it's a long-term, multi-year problem. And the expense, not the accounting term, but the outcome, the expense is all those revenue streams for all the years that the music center is open are gone. Dollar a ticket fee, the payment in lieu of property taxes, the 25% share, all that money stops coming in. So why this short-term sell it for a loss and lose all that? Our stakeholders include not just the hundreds of residents who volunteer their time, but the nonprofits that benefit from the funds and share their subject matter expertise, but the thousands who donate to them that are motivated by the outcomes of the nonprofits that are in. And frankly, the thousands, it's not just the thousands of donors, but the thousands who benefit from the services. So the multiplier effect, I cannot imagine more impact per dollar than the dollars that pass through the foundation to all these charities. And sorry to be critical, but I think it's probably more impact per dollar than what is coming through some of the government funding. Maybe Darren's nodding at least. So maybe the time has come when this music center conversation keeps coming up, instead of me struggling to represent the collective nonprofits, those who benefit, those who donate, and so on, because I think my voice is not working. It's not sinking in. Or I wouldn't have to keep having this conversation. Maybe we need those thousands of voices to join mine and to come to the next conversation and tell their stories directly. So our unique ability to match a broad array of donors and subject matter experts allowed us to be there in the time of need. If we break the process, that may or may not still happen. There are donors like Lilly Endowment that will only deal through the foundation. So we do play a unique role. Let me talk also about the spring grant round. That's where the dollars from the music center surplus go in. Well, we do a couple $1 million in funds that go out into the community every year. Only 12% of those funds are flexible or unrestricted. So what that means is, even though the dollars are not large in terms of the music center in that total, they're disproportionately important because they're unrestricted. The two categories, there's some that go into arts and then everything else in terms of priorities. So they matter more. And when we have a multi-year pattern now going of 3 times the request for funds that we have to give out, any hole you put in that is also disproportionately important. There are a lot of challenges facing this county. I don't need to tell you guys. So I'm really gratified when I see all these collaborative efforts that are coming up. The health needs assessment somebody referred to earlier, the quality of life work group was referred to earlier. That's just 2 examples. We're doing so well right now in terms of collaborate, investing in relationships, the government relationship to others, the foundation relationship to other organizations. Why are we arguing about something that doesn't need to take up time? There's an opportunity cost in what it keeps us from doing. If arguing on this topic damages relationships, they're critical to the success of all those other collaborative efforts. Is it worth it? Why do it? Right now, we're wrapping up and celebrating the success of hitting all 4 goals in the Lilly Endowment Gift Aid program. Over goal, ahead of the deadline. We're ramping up for Gift 9. We want that to be another of those collaborative examples that work for this county. We're having to chase and defend on this disproportionate music center night. It will dilute not just our work, but that collaborative work with other organizations. So I think it's time we just put this whole thing to bed and stop obsessing on breaking it. I take questions, but if your energy level is like mine, there may not be many, I don't know.
Okay. Appreciate your comments. There's something I want to ask you from John, actually. Yeah. You know, you suggested maybe your voice isn't being heard, and there are thousands of voices out there that, you know, maybe could come and talk to us. I don't think either of those things are necessary.
I don't really want to do that.
But I understand your point. Right? I understand your point.
I know a voice that keeps repeating, but I'm trying to speak for others.
There's something you can do that I think would be very helpful in this conversation to really put it to rest, and something I've been very interested in seeing. And I'm wondering if you could commit to it today to the council. And that is the specific list of projects that are funded by these funds. Not an overall list of everything, but the actual list of projects. And the reason why I think that would be helpful in bridging this gap is it's kind of not totally known, right? We see all the things the foundation is doing, but you're not talking about the actual things that are funded, the real people, the real projects. And I think I'm asking for your commitment in this next grant round to give this council a report in writing on the exact investments for these funds. And I think it's a really helpful thing for you to do. You don't have to bring thousands of people. Just tell us what it's actually being used for and the community, what it's being used for, and then it speaks for itself.
So I can give you a partial argument, and here's why. You know, we really have to respect conditions put on by any donor. And the Maple Leaf Board has a signed document with us. So from our perspective, and it would be the same in terms of state or federal legal interpretation, they're the donor. So if they give permission for us to share that with you, we will. But our donor, and I'm being technical.
No, I
our
totally
donor
appreciate
has to
that.
agree,
I
okay?
understand that in your typical foundation realm. It's a little bit different because it's hybrid. These are actually somewhat public-ish funds, right? I guess I would ask Darren in your next meeting to get that permission so that we can report to the public on the wonderful things you're talking about. To kind of help the public understand what is truly happening with those funds instead of just wondering.
Actually, we came up when we were creating the music center, Madison actually gave me a list of some of the things that the community foundation funds, and we put, I would have to.
She gave you that as a Maple Leaf member or council member. Well, regardless.
I asked for examples of what, because there was a thing, you know, people were saying, well, the community foundation, they don't even do anything for us. So it was just an example of, okay, well, here's some of the things that the community foundation has funded.
Right.
As an example, and I think that's what you're asking about, you know.
And he wants to know what 75% is going to.
Yeah.
And check with the,
And actually just the actual investments, not a general or
I
sample.
understand. However,
Actual. And
last
so-
November, Scott, you raised same thing you just raised.
Yeah, and I saw the total.
And
of everything.
I went.
Just let me finish. I'm there with you.
In the notes I shared with you guys, I went as close as I felt I could ethically go by sort of doing sample type things and lumping it in.
Yeah, that was the same.
Yeah, and I guess
Sort of violating that contraction.
Yeah,
So.
and what I guess what I'm saying is, appreciate that effort, but I don't see, I mean, we're in the public realm here. Nothing we do is private, right? And so because these are, a lot of people feel like these are tax dollars, whether it's an asset, ownership, whatever it is, I don't know, the county made it happen, and these are county benefit investments. And so to me, it's like, I can't imagine a reason why we wouldn't highlight those wonderful investments that really you're trying to highlight, and you feel like your voice isn't being heard, but you can't say what they are. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm asking Darren.
Here's the problem.
Just bring that to public light.
What you're talking about is that 12.5% that you had talked about that's unrestricted. It's fungible. What the music center contributes to that portion of the unrestricted fund is fungible. It's unrestricted. We have not specifically said, use it for this, use it for community foundation expenditures within the county to benefit the county.
You're happy to talk about those.
So it's part of the arts and part unrestricted, Darren. So there is that restriction for the arts. So Scott, think of it as sort of an NDA that we're subject to from each donor. So I need, with permission from the donor, we will share.
Okay, so
To date, what we've done is.
you guys can solve that stuff. See if there's permission. We'll find out. That's
Yep.
good.
I think it'd be helpful.
Okay. One other, did you say one? Go ahead, John. You're fine. Did you want to speak? Go ahead. Your name is what?
My name is Rich Stanley,
Okay.
and I intend to run for county commissioner in the next election, despite the attempt of the Republican Party and the Brown County Election Board to prevent me from running. I'm currently litigating a federal lawsuit against the Brown County Election Board over this illegitimate effort to deprive me of my constitutional rights. If that lawsuit is resolved in my favor, I will be running for county commissioner in the 2026 election. Being that I plan to be a commissioner after the next election, I would like you to consider the following with regard to the Brown County Music Center. First of all, I don't agree with Ron Sanders' effort to sell the music center. I don't begrudge him for exploring that option, but it has been well demonstrated that that would result in a huge financial loss to the county. Along those lines, it has also been well demonstrated that the music center is not financially viable as a private enterprise. It should be remembered that the music center is not privately owned. Instead, the music center is a public asset that only exists due to the taxing authority of the county. My main concern with this matter is that public assets should be managed by elected officials for the benefit of all of the residents of Brown County. Public assets should not be turned over to private business interests in a way that would primarily benefit those business interests over the interests of the public at large. In my opinion, I believe that the Music Center is currently being managed, for the most part, in a generally responsible way, and we should keep it that way. However, there are two changes that I believe should be made to how the Music Center is managed. First, the majority of the managing board for the Music Center should be made up of elected officials. That is, the 7-member board for the Music Center should have 4 elected officials on the board instead of only 2, as it now does, so that a majority of the board members would be elected officials. I would personally leave 3 non-elected members on the board who represent the tourism industry. Second, 100% of the profit from the Music Center should go back to the county to offset county expenses. Currently, a substantial amount of the Music Center's profit is being diverted to a private entity. I'll say it again. The Music Center is a public asset that is supported by the county's taxing authority. It is not a private enterprise. What that means is that the profit from that public asset belongs to the county, and therefore the profit should be returned back to the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Bruce?
I'll be brief. I'll try to be brief. The management agreement that the Music Center is operated by was drafted and written by Barnes and Thornburg. And it addresses, it basically includes and signed on by different groups. One was management, our management group, and then the building corporation, county council, county commissioners, Bank of Livingston. Those 5 groups have signed on to this contract. The only way that contract can be changed is if all 5 of those groups agree to change it. So the commissioners have no authority to change it. The commissioners and the council have no authority to change it. It takes all 5 of those together to change that agreement. And that's in the agreement. The board itself is comprised, and we're a long-standing board. Most of us have been on there since we just started thinking about this. Each one of these board members has a unique contribution to make to the operation of the Music Center. I will say that without Barry Herring, there would be no Music Center, period. And someone like Jim Schultz, Jim was out there during construction every day. He knows every detail of every part of that building, and he played a key role in the design of that building too. So, and everybody, all the board members have a unique contribution to make. So if you're proposing to take out 2 of those members, which 2 would it be? So, and if you're proposing to put 2 of you on that board, which 2 would that be? So what impact would that have on the operation of the Music Center? So and I'll tell you right up front, right from the start, I have been opposed to giving any of our revenue to the county or the other
Community Foundation.
Community Foundation. I thought all the money should go back into the Music Center for capital improvements, at least at the very beginning. Because I'm a business person, that's what I would do. If I have profits, I'm not gonna give them away when I got a whole list of things that I should be doing to improve my business. So, but anyhow, the board decided to set it up this way, and that's the way it is, and that's fine. I agree with it now, and especially with the Community Foundation. I've kind of changed my thinking about how effective they are, especially supporting nonprofits. But I look at you guys, and how have you spent your 25%? And how effective have you been? So, now I look at the commissioners, I mean, they're proposing and, proposing adding another, more politicians basically to the board. Ron Sanders has been on the board. This year, he was appointed to the board. That's part of his role, his job as being commissioner. We've had 9 meetings so far. He's attended the first meeting, 1. I mean, here we are talking about a bigger role for the government, and the government's not even attending the meetings. So, something needs to change there. It's not up to us to say anything about it, although I just did. But anyhow, I don't see, and my biggest concern with the government playing a bigger role in the music center is one of the things we strive for, and we have a finance committee too, that they're not part of that operating agreement, but they oversee all the details of the finance, and then the board approves everything. But we try to strive a balance, when at the end of the year, when we're all throughout the year, we're looking at how much money we're making, and we always get a projection of how much we think we're going to have at the end of the year to spread out to the community. And we try to strive a balance of how much money we really end up with. Like this year, we bought a beer garden. We paid a lot of money for that, a capital improvement. We paid for that. Now, we could have not done that and had more higher profits at the end of the year to distribute to the county and the foundation. But we built we built the beer garden. We do improvements to improve our business. But we have to strive to get a balance so we still have money to distribute at the end of the year. So my fear is if you have 4 government officials in there, they're going to say, well, we won't do these capital improvements and we won't do these capital improvements. Then at the end of the year, we got more money to dump back into the government to spend. So, that could really, really have a big impact on the business. And what I'm always looking for is how to make things better. I always tell people in our business, we're in a constant state of improvement. And we should be that way, and every business should be that way. So that's all I wanted to say. And one last comment about the Christmas lights. That's not the music center. That's the CVC. Music center had nothing to do with Christmas lights. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for clarifying. I was gonna say that and forgot.
Well, I don't trust government employees or government people either, Darren. That would be way too many people on that board. And most people who've been full-time government employees have no idea how to run a business, how to make a payroll, how to deal with the public. They feel like they have this little money tree in their backyard. They can always pull out money. But that doesn't happen when you got a business that's got to make profit. So this is an ongoing thing that never should be happening. Community foundations did a wonderful job of their money, what they're doing with it. And county still gets 25%. So I don't know what we're going to discuss here. Are you going to make a vote to do this, or just talk? Because we spent $11,000 or what, 18,000 on attorneys?
It's just information. We're try and close it now. So is that basically what you got?
That,
All right, we need to get on to our budget.
Yes,
So, thank you. All right. Appreciate your all input. We're a little long here. It's 3 hours plus. We still got something else on the agenda. So you're probably welcome to leave unless you want to observe this last item.
Let's go for it.
Take a little bit of a break.
We need a break.
That would be.
No, let's just, all we gotta do is either.
Thank you real quick. It's fast.
Blow it on.
Let's keep zooming.
I thought there was a lot of discussion.
Let's open it.
Did you see the stack of paper she brought?
Shit, 4. Great 3 or 4 trees.
Hurry up, Darren. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'll tell you what happened.
We'll be here talking when you get back, I guarantee.
Okay, yeah, I know.
All right, let's get this done.
Okay, so first of all, I wanted to start by
Yeah.
telling you what my process has been so far. With trying to balance my books with
Keep it quiet out there.
And then I take your changes that you made and then I enter them into allow for the adopted. Okay,
Okay,
so then I balance again. I was balanced. So then I turn on to Gateway to make sure that we balance, and we didn't. So now I'm having to find out why we didn't, because, you know, we should be balancing. So then I find out that the circuit court doesn't have, they've taken $800 out to zero. They've taken $1,300 to zero. They've taken $3,000 to zero, $10,000 to zero. Where did they get this permission? I didn't. Not in my minutes. I know you guys didn't do it. So why was this taken out? So now I'm having to call Reedy and find out. By the way, these are all fixed by now. So just so you know.
so that was a mistake by reading?
The court can't take it off Gateway.
When you
You're
say
saying repeat
fixed, what do
it.
you mean fixed?
The money's back in where it needs to be.
Okay, so that was a mistake that was taken out.
Well, how many mistakes can you make?
I'm just saying, it wasn't what it was supposed to be, correct? You fixed
So-
something.
These are taken care of.
Yeah.
All better. Everything's balanced. So we're balanced right now. But that still doesn't change the fact that we're, you know, the other things like,
The 11,300 and something.
correct.
It doesn't match their final book.
All right,
Yeah.
so our options
It
are,
doesn't match the final.
the 11,000 can be a local, whatever.
No, that's something different.
I know,
It's different, yeah.
Okay.
the rest is this. So what do we want to do about the 300, and how much thousand? 360 or something?
360,
I think what Julie's trying to bring to your attention is what's in your book on the date of October 2nd, or whatever that date was, is that total for county, and I'm just talking about county general at the moment, is not the total that was in Gateway. That's where it all went awry.
then everything went awry. So
Yeah.
I've
And,
been really
and now,
myself nuts.
I mean, they worked on, and Reedy worked on things today in Gateway. Julie worked on the last system, but what is currently on your Form 4 is not the budget that's in the book that's presented to you on October 2nd. That's the one thing. I mean, that's what I do for Julie is compare the Gateway to all the things. And then that's when I caught the fact that the second problem is that shortage of that cash operating.
Yeah.
How big of a problem is it? Who knows, but it's outside of the scope of what you've always done in the past by keeping at least 15% in that cash operating. So those are kind of the two biggies. You got that book that you have that doesn't match what you're gonna adopt on that Form 4 as far as the budget for county general.
Well, the Form 4, I just actually created the new one that is still,
Right, it matches Julie's financials now match.
Yes.
That, but that doesn't match the book they gave you. And then with all of that said,
No.
when they worked the forms and putting in the levy amounts that they put in, they have you adopting $360,000 over
over
levy.
levy.
Those are the issues.
Thank you.
Again, will just come off of the cash operating balance, but you still have the health fund out there. If
So,
that's. big enough for
Basically,
you
the
to
two
hold off.
problems are those, the 360 and the fact the health fund is going to be underfunded and we would have to do something about that if they didn't have enough cash operating balance to go with.
Anyone? So these guys come up with it.
Hey, I'm sleeping numbers, guys, trust me. That's all I see. Numbers.
This is what we received from meeting.
No, this is the updated.
That's the
version.
one that I just got done today.
I was just asking Jim, is that CVC line, is that
Is the what?
the CVC line that is 1.4 million? Is that what we had in there before? Or did that
Well,
change or?
that changed because everything from Parks and Rec is now in the CBC.
Well, no, I mean, but what we saw before it includes, this still includes, it didn't change, right? And that's just my question.
What's the amount that you have?
1.4.
I can tell you what the amount of the book is. in the book.
Is 1.4 on here now. I just want to make sure we capture that general fund savings that was offset by the innkeeper's tax.
The amount,
Yeah, take your time.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Looking through.
I would have brought my budget if I realized it was gonna
the
change.
proposed adopted budget for the CDB is $1,469,162.
Okay, I think that's right. Yeah.
That is what was in.
Okay.
Yes.
And suggestions? Prove it as is. We only do.
These are the totals. This is the total of the general fund here. This number here, is total of the general funds.
9.8.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I thought it was
9856, 663.
That's the first time ever.
We probably came across. I wonder if,
This is the total of all the budgets.
okay. And, okay.
I know. I went and let it go in. Of course, I'm really nice.
Afterwards, we can prove it. No, I don't think, I mean, I know how I'm gonna vote. You make this.
You change your end.
And then just.
No
change it to
problem.
reading or something.
So this is the sheet that I always gave to you.
When you
It shows you.
What's going to happen is Reedy's not going to be able to go to my gateway and do my gateway stuff anymore.
Yeah, I'm surprised they did that. I thought you had to do that anyway.
Jackie is, he heads up the EIC.
That's my.
So Jackie, I mean, here's, let's just, maybe just, we're not trying to have a private conversation here.
No,
You know, what I would suggest, and I know how I'm gonna vote on this, I'll tell you right now, it's gonna be no, but if the council wants to move this forward, one thing that I think we should do, because we haven't had, I mean, Julie's been working weekends like eyes glazing over, okay, which is not, you know, I'm just worried that you're a human
I am human.
and you put in a lot of hours and we haven't had a second set of eyeballs. I think Jackie's been helping you over the phone, but like,
She actually's been looking at the stuff.
and has, but my suggestion is before our budget deadline, you, council can move this forward if you want today. But before our actual deadline as a county, let's let Reedy and or Jackie double check. Make sure we're in good shape, because here's the problem, and we've seen this before. If we make a mistake here and we miss that deadline, we could be in major trouble, right? And so I'm just wanting to weed out human error, somebody working through the weekend, late at night, Sunday night, right? Like, this is our county budget. Let's just ask Reedy and or Jackie, whoever it is.
because I
Not you,
didn't make
right.
any changes.
Right,
I only
Let's
reviewed
just-
the board. I
make
didn't
sure.
know what-
Actually,
right.
the only person I want double checking me is her.
Okay. well,
So Howard, you had Reedy, Jackie and you.
I don't want Reedy doing anything.
I want you guys to talk together and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Just make sure we're good.
The objective one.
This was stupid. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So Scott wants to have some oversight, so it's like
Just-
you and Reedy talking, you oversight would be great.
Or however, you
Good
guys,
resource.
but let's just get a double set of eyes on it, because the last thing you want is to accidentally make a mistake and then tonight.
They're gonna be our financial advisors, we gotta know where
When
it's
you, when
going.
you adopt it, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Change.
So can you two do that with Reedy in the next week or so? We could have a recess and we do this in a week or.
Before our county deadline is right, the key deadline, right? Like, if we needed to change.
We need
If
to
you
time
adopt,
recess.
you
Right.
So
I'm
you
not
can
gonna be
recess
here.
this until
No,
this week.
The next week.
October.
No, I think you don't need to look at it. You've already done your work, right? You've entered it, it's in there.
Bus-
Now, Reedy or somebody else, just somebody to look at it. Jackie, I don't care who it is, Jackie or Reese.
We could do October 30th, it's a week and a half.
Now, our option on that is to cut, go back through and cut $360,000.
Yes and no. You can adopt the budget you have.
Oh, week's Friday.
And if you look at,
Yeah,
if you look at the total monies,
I gotta get my cats.
if I add the levy and I add next year's revenue, we're at 9.5.
Was we in the street today, because I can't be here.
I'm not suggesting you delay this, I'm just saying after it's moved, let's just double
No.
check.
Um,
Our debt was so fixed.
You're a little bit over, you're over your new money, but you can reduce this guy right here, this cash operation. By that 300, I would reduce it by about 340,000. I even 20,000, okay.
Right.
To allow for rounding and all the funds. And you're okay with this. You're adopting more than new money coming in.
But we have some operating.
But you would have operating, you would have 2.6 at the end of next year.
What were we last year? And we had a savings. This year, we're 298, right? 2.9 is left.
Yes, and I can't, I don't, honestly, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think it was 2.2.
Yes.
At the end. I looked at it, but I've looked at so many numbers.
Entertain a motion for the moment.
All these years.
Yeah.
Jackie,
I
you're
don't
up.
wanna, I don't.
Let's keep it back in
But
public here, guys.
We're still.
We are.
We're still above what we were last year.
In the cash operating, yes.
Even if we do the extra 360.
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
We're still.
Yes.
above
We got like
what we were
50% reserve, so I think we're pushing on top of our operating group, right, in the general, right? Aren't we at, is
No, your
50 or
your reserve-
30 something? Maybe I'm just,
It's a little less, it's less than 30, it's probably 25.
25%, okay. So it's Jackie real quick, and then I'm, President wants to make a motion here.
Yeah, we're gonna stop everybody. Hey,
So you tell, I mean, is it, if,
Joe, Jim, what?
it's,
We're having a meeting down here.
oh, God, sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
Make an emotional meeting.
It just steer us through here, you know, if the council's comfortable, and it sounds like you've gone through this, and she's comfortable it's accurate, Reedy has not had a second chance to look at it, sounds like, but if the council moves this tonight and then before the official deadline for the county passenger, but can they
When
amend
you,
it?
no, when you adopt
cannot
it, you
change
adopt it. That's
Even
correct.
before the deadline,
When you adopt, you adopt.
there's no.
Because you'd have to hold, you would have to redo it. You would have to do a public hearing 10 days out and 10 days
Gotcha.
before you're
We don't
done.
have that kind
So,
of time.
no, it's either adopt tonight or recess till next week.
Got
But if you adopt tonight, your county general fund will not, your budget that you are adopting is fundable with a
Yeah.
2.6
Yeah,
Instead of 2.9.
I mean,
instead of 2.
yeah. I mean, I know where I'd take 100,000 out of our council budget right now. I mentioned that before with no success, but
All we have to do is not spend.
Play then.
Yeah, just don't spend it. Or reduce, you can always do a reduction after the first year if you want to get 100,000.
I was saying, you're worried about the 360. There's 100 right there, right in front of the face, right now. Easy to pull off. But if you're not worried about it, look forward.
Someone want to make a motion?
Make the motion, I guess.
Patrick makes a motion, we pass it. Second. Seconded. Yeah,
Julie.
no, not Julie.
Not Julie.
No.
Oh, Tandy.
Darren?
Yes.
Judy?
With knowledge that we are going to have to do it, possibly do an interlocal loan to the health department,
Possibly, yeah.
possibly. I want that in the record. Then I will say, yeah. Got
No.
Gary,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Joel,
Yes.
Jim.
Why not? It's like.
Okay.
That's not an option.
What do you say?
Yeah, go home, Navy.
I like these, but.
All right.
I move we adjourn.
Arthur,
Well, then you adjourn.
Second.
Yeah.
in favor.
I don't know.
Appreciate it. Well, they gotta be.
And peppers.
They want to.
Oh, they're over now.
Yeah. That first time. Steve.
I have some.
Yeah.